Yeah, I got money on my phone and money on me. I got all these hoes, but still lonely. They been blowing on that strong, but still so weak. I've been hiding a drone, but still low-key. We been sitting on the floor, they in the nosebleeds. Lately I've been in control, they can't control me. Yeah, they about to get exposed for being so cheap. I've been sticking to the code and I ain't gon' cheat. Yo, grew my hair and took the grill out. Think it's time to put it back in. Trying to get into that big house, turn the crib into the mansion. Needed something with that big bounce. You know I had to hit Jackson. Aaron Rodgers with the quick routes. I'm with the gang, we packing. We on the field at Lambo. Might peel in a Lambo. Running drills in my camo. They know what the M stand for. Still got fam in Hawaii, yeah. Couple fans in the lobby, yeah. Couple grand in my pocket, yeah. Couple grams of wasabi, yeah. Eye it up, no glasses. Light it up, no matches. Wife it up, no ratchets. Might turn my wife to an actress. And we gon' make a movie, no Kim K. Give a fuck about what your friends say. I got money on my phone and money on me. I got all these hoes, but still lonely. They been blowing on that strong, but still so weak. I've been hiding a drone, but still low-key. We been sitting on the floor, they in the nosebleeds. Lately I've been in control, they can't control me. Yeah, they about to get exposed for being so cheap. I've been sticking to the code and I ain't gon' cheat.
I'm just sticking to the code, I keep it so G. She asked me what I smoke, I'm smoking OG. I don't fool with too many, only catch me 4 deep. Gotta stay away from snakes, swear these people so creep. I've been grinding for a minute, many labels so sleep. These rappers drop a song, be hot for about a week. I put Gucci on my toes, I keep some cold feet. I ain't paying for no home, you niggas know me. I'm about to body the beat. I keep me a hottie with me. She wanna for a fee. Give me that for free. Keep me some money on me. Smoking the gas, keep. You with me, sheesh. But need OG, keep.
I got money on my phone and money on me. I got all these hoes, but still lonely. They been blowing on that strong, but still so weak. I've been hiding a drone, but still low-key. We been sitting on the floor, they in the nosebleeds. Lately I've been in control, they can't control me. Yeah, they about to get exposed for being so cheap. I've been sticking to the code and I ain't gon' cheat.
Hop in the car, watch it go vroom, vroom. I told her mom that I was soon. Knew as a child, back in the womb. Oh, told her step back, I need my broom. Hop in the car, watch it go vroom. I'm in a whip, so I gotta zoom. They tryna talk, they not in the room. I've been so real, I'm dead to the tomb. They in the way, they gotta move. I got a gas, they running on fumes. Told them way back, it's something new. It's me and Dan, you gotta choose. I'm taking what's mine, I'm doing fine. Don't see the vision, they looking so blind. I hit my low, I don't got the time. Crossing my T's and he dotting those eyes. Don't take offense if I do not oblige. I can't belabor like none of these guys. They hit me once and I'm cutting the ties. I was so low, but I'm back on the rise, it's real. Hop in the car, watch it go vroom, vroom. I told her mom that I was soon. Knew as a child, back in the womb. Oh, told her step back, I need my broom. Hop in the car, watch it go vroom. I'm hopping now I gotta go. I'm looking back, they not even close. I had a 4, now I need a ghost. I got a wave like I'm on the coast. Same ones are doubting, I dare the show. So way that I'm ballin', they think I'm a pro. I'm getting sick by the money I gross. They saying whoa, I told them all what this is. I told them all I don't miss. Said it's my time, look at this shit on my wrist. And when they shooting this breaks, I'm going in a new gear, gotta shift. I cannot stick to the script, I cannot wait. Watch how I get it and flip. It's just how I'm doing this shit and I'm gone. Just how I'm doing this shit and I'm gone. Hey, just how I'm doing this shit and I'm gone.
Here we go, at the top of the class on a roll. And it's time to run it up, yeah you know. Maxed out, put the pedal to the floor. Ayy, on the road, here we go. Yeah, we winning by a landslide.
Never see me coming, I'm a landmine. Yeah, I ain't taking orders in command like, yeah, you about to see me on demand like, you know on demand. If you ain't know, you about to understand. Yeah, I got the team by my side, right hand. Yeah, take it to a string, you ain't seen it like that. Yeah, and it's the dream, man, we coming for the bag. Yeah, and we ain't ever going back now. Future expedited, now we on the fast track now. They won't lend a hand, now they see us on the map now. It's time to act out. Here we go, at the top of the class on a roll. And it's time to run it up, yeah, you know. Maxed out, put the pedal to the floor. Hey, on the roll, here we go, yeah. At the top of the class on a roll. Hey, and it's time to run it up, yeah, you know. Yeah, maxed out, put the pedal to the floor. Yeah, on the roll, here we go, here we go. Here we go, at the top of the class on a roll. And it's time to run it up, yeah, you know. Maxed out, put the pedal to the floor. Hey, on the roll, here we go, yeah. At the top of the class on a roll. Hey, and it's time to run it up, yeah, you know. Yeah, maxed out, put the pedal to the floor. Yeah, on the roll, here we go, here we go. Here we go. On a roll, here we go, here we go.
What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Frankie Candles live stream every single weekday right here at 5:45 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. What the heck is this, guys? What is that? We got some light coming through. But what is going on, Mafia? Welcome back. And Bitcoin getting the continuation up after FOMC pushing. Well, here we are at $117,435, the start of our major resistance zone, guys. As Bitcoin approaches this key level of resistance, what are the chances that we get the bigger break to the upside on Bitcoin? And what are the chances of getting that big rejection? Because you guys know how important this resistance level is, and we got one more above us. But we're going to break down the charts for you guys. I'll show you what I am looking at and expecting here next for Bitcoin. Let me go ahead and clean up this chart real quick before I pop it up. I don't want to get embarrassed by a sloppy chart, guys. But yeah, we got a lot to talk about today, guys, with FOMC giving us that fake out little drop to the downside, holding the value very low and getting the bigger bounce into our major key level. We even talked yesterday about, why we like to wait for those key levels to get tapped, because more often than not, they will get hit. And here we are, tapping into those levels right now. So I'm going to give you guys my overall thoughts here. Thank you all for tuning in. I appreciate every single one of you guys for hanging out with us here. We got Seth Shepard in the chat, said, pump it again. Shout out to Seth Shepard. Welcome in. Yeah, she's getting a little bit of a local push to the upside. Let's see. We got Amina in the chat. We got Christian in the chat. What is going on? Panda the Prophet. Welcome in, bro. We got JR Ford. Lucia. Jesse, our like police. Don't forget to smash that like button, guys. If you appreciate the free content, smash that like button. We greatly appreciate it, and it helps the channel out more than you probably realize. It is free 99, so make sure you smash that like button. We got Cypher in the chat, and Vegas Claw with another Drake meme here says, Frankie's the type of guy to make animal-shaped cookies and make animal noises before eating them. Somebody call the cops on Vegas Claw. Shout out to Vegas, bro. Welcome in. We got Teach in the chat. Welcome in, bro. And I now know I say his name correctly. But guys, without further ado, smash that like button, and we're about to dive in and drop the sauce on the Bitcoin chart. And we're also going to take a look at the altcoins as well, guys. I got a few things I want to talk about there as well. So yeah, let's go ahead. Jump on into the charts. Let's get into it. All right, guys. So obviously, we got that drop down right here on FOMC for the bounce at our value area low for another push to the upside here. And if you guys have been looking at this or watching this channel for any amount of time, why do I feel like I'm looking down at the computer here, guys? Let me raise up the Frankie Candle studio here real quick. I just knocked something off the desk. Hopefully it wasn't a hard drive. Anyway, Taking a look here, guys, as you know, right, I have been waiting for two major key levels. We got the $117,500 to $118,500 level, and then we also had below us, we have the 113, which this level has moved up slightly, but about 113.5 down to about 112.3. So these were the two big levels that we have been waiting for, and these are just, obviously the point of control of the range. Even if I pull all of this off the chart, I'll take off that resistance zone, I'll take off that golden pocket. Obviously, as long as we were able to hold inside this volume profile, the next stop for price, right? We get into that volume profile, we hold the value area low as support, and the doorway into that POC is open. This POC does sit at about 118,279, and that is still potentially a big target that I will be looking at, but we do have to understand this is a little bit of a zone, guys. Currently, we are rejecting a daily NPOC, which was kind of the start, or not kind of, but was the start of this zone here, daily NPOC at $117,637. And you can see here, we don't really have, maybe that's a little bit of a bearish divergence, but we have pushed in here. At the end of the day, we also got a sweep of liquidity up here as well. I am not personally short as of right now. Maybe I wind up regretting that a little bit for a pushback to the downside because we do have the sweep of liquidity. We do have some kind of bearish divergences here, a little 30-minute bearish divergence, at least to the bodies of your candles. So you got some bear divs, some SFPs here, giving us that little bit of a rejection from that daily MPOC. But to be quite honest, guys, if you look at this wick here, we barely front ran $118,000 even. So I am personally waiting. At this point, right, I'm not going to short after we've already gotten this drop to the downside. And again, if this comes down, guys, it's no big deal for me. I am still going to be anticipating potentially to push a little bit deeper into this zone. Right now, we're rejecting the daily MPOC and the tap of that golden pocket. And yesterday, I was talking about how, waiting for your key levels is more often than not going to be the best thing to do, other than like just trying to catch every single short. Just simply sit on your hands and wait for price to push into those major key levels of resistance. But when we look at this, right, it's like, we did tap into the zone. We did get the SFP. We did get slight bearish divergences. But at the end of the day, I would pretty much, I would kind of like to come up here towards that POC, or at least to come up and hit $118,000 even. It's not that often that you will front run a psychological level like that. And I haven't really checked the other exchanges. Maybe we tapped it on other exchanges. But for the most part, guys, we're kind of just hovering twisted. We are rejecting. We do have some bearish confirmations here. However, this is somewhat of a zone, right? Kind of making the entry trigger a little bit difficult because it's like, are you going to look for that short on the daily MPOC? Are you going to look for the short on the golden pocket? Are you going to look at the point of control at the top of the golden pocket? Like, where are you going to look to enter that trade? One way you could do this is, start to funnel into a short position, maybe take a small entry, and then as you push into those next levels, you kind of compound that entry, obviously having an invalidation if you flip that point of control, because obviously, guys, if we're able to hold above this POC, we will be looking up towards a bigger level, or not bigger level of resistance, but our upper level of resistance, which really sits, in my opinion, at the value area high at about 121,165 and about $120,800. But again, we have to be careful of these fake outs. I've been mentioning the traps. I've been mentioning the fake outs here recently. And if I come on over here and we pull up the, or actually I think I deleted this, unfortunately. But, I did just have this a little bit more simply drawn out for you guys. There's that Fibonacci retracement. And again, right, we talk about this golden pocket for a reason. We say this is the biggest level of resistance. And yes, we did get the drop down on FOMC, but okay, it's back there. It's back there, guys. But that was so weird. But what happens, right? You eventually come up and tap that golden pocket. This is the importance of waiting for those key levels. Oh my God, I just saw chat fly for a second. I thought maybe I was on mute or something. But yeah, here it is, right? You tap that golden pocket. So, for anyone who's watching yesterday, we talk about waiting for these key levels to get hit. Like, here's your perfect example. And, technically, this is the start of that major resistance, that daily MPOC and this golden pocket. So not impossible to cool off here. But you're also fading the daily green dot. You're also fading the money flow crossing back over into the green here, which again, we've talked about how market Cypher has been a little bit choppy on the money flow, at least on like the lower, anything other than like the super high time frames. Even some of these higher time frames, right? Like the 2-day money flow continuing out here with our VWAP coming down. We have the 3-day red dot, or a 3-day VWAP curving over, but the money flow looks great. Then you come back over to the 4-day. This looks like trash. So, money flow even on the higher time frames is somewhat kind of chopped up here. But, this is why we're trading the key levels, right? When you have choppy money flow, you can just focus on those key levels. Doesn't make, money flow being choppy does not make this any less of a significant level of resistance. So we'll just say it, right? Like, you could potentially get a drop from this level. But again, I would not be shocked here. I would not be shocked if we get a pushback into 118,000, potentially all the way back up to, 118.3 to 118.5 to fill out the rest of that resistance zone. So, if we had some really nice, we have maybe a little bit of a potential 4-hour bearish divergence forming here as well, right? You have the little higher highs on your price action into the key level, and then you have potentially, right, if we push up anymore, this is probably going to get invalidated, but you do have a potential 4-hour bear div printing here as well. 4-hour money flow also coming down, red dot looking to print, and when we look at that 4-hour red dot, if we are going to correct from here, whether that is just a small pullback before coming up and finally filling that level, and the reason I am still a little bit suspicious of coming back up here, guys, is because of like the magnetic power of that POC, right? You can get a little local 4-hour bearish divergence here. You also have it to these highs as well, obviously, but if we do pull back here, whether it is for a little bit of a cool off in order to get a bigger push into that resistance level, or if this is going to be the drop, this is definitely a major level of resistance. And if we are going to do that, I will be looking at that 4-hour red dot printing with obviously our 15-minute money flow looking to cross over into the red, which even this got choppy earlier today, guys. I'm not going to lie. Money flow was coming out. We had the 4-hour red dot printing. I was thinking about pulling the trigger on the short, and I just sat it out. We got another push up. Money flow came back up, so we're still kind of chopped up here. But yeah, I would just be careful of a potential rejection from where we're at right now. And then if we do pull back, I have some local levels of support that I want to talk about with you guys today. But overall, my longer-term plan, guys, I want to cover some of this longer-term stuff because obviously yesterday was a really, really big day with the rate cuts. Was he hawkish? Was he dovish? What is coming next in the market? It's really hard to say, right? Like I would say like he wasn't like super, super dovish where it's like, hey, we have to start cutting aggressively. He mentioned that it was just kind of really hard to read. But at the end of the day, guys, the one thing, right, we talk about those higher, the macro kind of, not macroeconomic situation, but like the macro markets, right? All these things. We have the total two, right? And I made some new charts here for you guys. We have total, right? Attempting, let me come on over here to the daily, right? So, we look at this from a high time frame perspective, right? Like totals all the way up here, potentially looking for a breakout. We also have our total two literally tapping up against our pretty much the all-time high, right? Trying to break out here. And we've talked about this in the past, right? Like, are we going to get the breakout here? And are things going to get very exciting? Which could be the argument, right? However, this is also very, very, very big resistance. I've been talking about how things, this market has been an absolute nail-biter recently. But as we have total two, like, just look at this, guys, from a logical perspective, right? Total two tapping on the 2021 all-time high, right? We have not broken out here yet. Obviously, I think everybody who holds altcoins kind of knows that, right? This is what we need, right, for altcoins to fly. Take a look at Total 3. Same exact thing, tapping up against that 2021 all-time high. We got rejected. Now we're coming up for another pop to the upside, looking to attack that for a second time. And technically, we are above the previous all-time high from 2021, but also, technically below the current all-time high from 2024. But at the end of the day, right, you just look at this, right? We're tapping on the door here. And on top of that, you have your Bitcoin dominance coming to the downside, obviously very beautifully. We look at this all the time. Same chart, same sentiment here, guys. High time frame money flow coming out, indicates that the trend is likely going to continue down here, guys. It doesn't mean you can't get those retracements, but lower highs and lower lows are going to be the anticipation here, in my own personal opinion. So you got the dominance coming down. You got total up there, right? Looking to snap. You got total two up here, trying to snap. You got total three up here, trying to snap. And you start to combine that stuff with, 25 basis point cut. It's like, it wasn't the shocking, 50 basis point cut that everyone would have wished for, right? But that was not expected, obviously, because they priced in the 25 basis points, which is what I was personally expecting. But, I would still say, right, like just looking at these charts, it is definitely, if we were to see an alt season, and even if we do get a correction here, there are going to be key levels that you want to hold on top of in order to see a higher low and a potential higher high to finally get that breakout. But it's like, is this going to happen sooner than later? And it's really hard to say, right? And then you look at RTY as well, right? RTY finally trying to get the crack up here as well. Right, the RTY, total 2, total 3, tapping against the highs. You got Bitcoin dominance coming down. You had technically a rate cut that came in yesterday, and potentially, I think they're pricing in 25 basis point cuts in the next two meetings, right? So it's not like super, super aggressive. This could obviously change, right? If something changes, these predictions can move around, right? And we'll have to just let that information develop, right? We can't make decisions based off of something we don't know. But I would say from a chart perspective, we are set up here, guys, especially even with like smaller rate cuts coming in. This could still potentially be good for risk on assets. And I will kind of, give some sobering thoughts here as well, right? It doesn't necessarily mean we have to pop to the upside right this second, but at the end of the day, I would still say we're in this environment, like absolute total nail biter here, guys. Like, I cannot express how pinnacle this moment is. And actually, I don't know what Tony wound up putting in the thumbnail, but one of my thoughts was like lock in, right? Like, this is the time to start paying attention, because if you were going to see the alt season come in, we're setting up perfectly for it right now. And obviously, it could have been more perfect if, you know, maybe Powell was like super dovish yesterday, but I wouldn't say it was like super, super bad either. And I'm not a macroeconomist either. Like, just keep that in mind, guys. I'm like 100%, almost 100% technical trader, but obviously we keep an eye on this stuff and we understand the kind of environment we need to create to see the risk on assets run. So on top of that, right, you have gold, right? We've been taking a look at this almost every single live stream recently, right? Gold on the wrong chart here. Let me pull it up over here. Bada boom, right? Like, we're still sitting, right, rejecting off that 4-hour bearish divergence that we looked at on gold yesterday. I mean, you know, we got one more level up here at about 37.34. Are we going to get up there? I don't know. We got the 4-hour bear div printing, or confirmed, I'm sorry. We have, you know, 8-hour red dot confirmed. Let's take a look at the daily here real quick. You know, the only thing, I said this yesterday, right? Like, the only thing I would say here is, like, this daily, right? If you get this daily green dot, maybe gold could get one more pop-up into this resistance level. But one of the big things that I'm looking at here is that weekly bearish divergence, which, is this invalidated yet? No, not quite. We do still have this bearish divergence on the weekly for gold as well. So, you know, I would say this is probably going to be good for crypto. And yeah, I mean, like, all this stuff lining up, guys, I can't unsee this on the charts, especially, you know, all these things lining up at the same exact time. I would still say it is definitely going to be a better environment to see an alt season come in than any, right? And it really, to look at the Bitcoin dominance like this, I mean, I don't know, right? Like, we've talked about this rejection from the 786 being the real level you want to see that breakdown from. And, you know, as we had some time develop here, we got a little support at the value area low, which we did expect, right? But we were anticipating the lower highs and the lower lows. It does look like this could be correct. So I don't want to say there's not a chance of any more turbulence. There definitely is. You know, Rectember's not over just yet. But don't forget, right after Rectember comes October. So I would still say, right, as long as we hold above this $107,000 key support level, you know, the chances of a potential all-time high coming in on Bitcoin is still open, right? And then I'm going to talk about the local levels I'll be looking at for pullbacks. If we do pull back, you know, what are those lines in the sand locally of where we would expect a break of 107K? But obviously, guys, this massive support is no joke, right? We have the golden pocket. Let me hide the other previous profile, right? We have the golden pocket, the bull market support band. Like, this is the level, right? This is what we talked about all the way back here, even before we got the drop down to 112K. We talked about this being the nice initial breakout, and I would be okay coming on down here and retesting these ranges, right? Or these range highs. And that's where we're bouncing from. I mean, it's like picture perfect. And as long as we stay above this level, I would say, like, you still have an opportunity for higher lows and higher highs to potentially put in an all-time high. It is still not until losing 107K where I start to be a little bit more concerned. But we'll have to take it as it comes at us. And let me go ahead and hide this, pull up our upper range, and I'll go over the local levels in just a minute. I'm going to hop in a chat here real quick. And we do have some altcoins to take a look at as well, guys. If you've been watching the live stream, shout out to AVAX. We've been talking about this many of the live streams. Where are we at? I got to come out over to the alt list here. Where are we at? Come on. It's the Coinbase chart. There we are. Nope, this isn't it. Don't do this to me now. It's the MEXC. Whoops. Is it the MEXC chart? Bear with me here, guys. There it is. I don't know why TradingView is loading the TA so slowly. But looking at AVAX here, guys, what did we talk about? Not only, you know, back here, but what did we talk about yesterday as well, right? When we were down here, we talked about this low volume gap, and this is clearly visualized on the volume profile here. Massive low volume gap. You have your high volume node. You have your high volume node. You have a high volume node, kind of like 3 POCs within one range. But these low volume gaps typically give you what? Fast moves up and fast moves down. I've covered this. I hate to be repetitive, but I think it's important, right? Because we're seeing it play out once again exactly as we looked at. Fast move down, fast move up, fast move up, fast move down, right? So we could say to ourselves, once we break into that low volume gap, we know there's not a lot in here to hold us back. And once you break in there, right, it's very likely that you will see a very aggressive fill of that low volume gap. And here it is. And even yesterday, we were talking about breaking these highs, right? If we can crack these highs, I think it's a high probability that you could finish up that range, pushing into your next key levels of resistance, which level number 1 has been smashed through. This was sitting between about 33.79 and 34.43. And now we're approaching our next major level of resistance, sitting here between 35.65 and 36.57. With a final target, just understand, this is definitely going to be resistance, but if we can get above all this, right, like the next target for the final fill of that volume profile, get above the low, next stop is the POC. Once you get above that POC, in this case, right, the next target was the high volume node. Once we broke above that, we expect to fill that low volume gap very quickly in the journey, right? And I could hide all this stuff just to simplify this, right? Like it doesn't have to be this confusing, honestly. But when you're looking at, it's going to help you understand what you're rejecting here, what you're rejecting here. It just gives you a better kind of context of what's going on within the range. But if we just hide all this stuff, guys, it's like, whoops. I don't think I was able to select that. Right, you're just looking at this as a simple volume profile, right? Get these high volume nodes off the chart, right? Value area low, POC. Once you're able to hold on top of that POC, the next stop is going to be that value area high. And I know it sounds crazy, right? Like when you're down here, it's like, oh my God, this thing's never going to stop going down. But once you get above there, guys, I mean, we're looking to potentially fill that entire volume profile. But I think it is also important to keep in mind that you do have these next key levels of resistance. So you might see some turbulence, but any of that turbulence, right, you're within your range. That magnetic value area high is very likely to get tapped. So beautiful. I wasn't going to go deep into that, but I just kind of wound up doing it. So very, very nice fill of that low volume gap there. And hopefully you guys can take that education, right, and bring it into your own chart, right? We don't look at every single altcoin on this channel, but if you're trading something or you're looking to invest in something that, you're pulling a volume profile, you know what to do with these low volume gaps. The high volume gaps or high volume nodes act as a magnet for price. Price likes to stick to these. Price likes to stick to these, right? But through the low volume gap, you do not really have much holding you up or down. Right? So just to show that, right? We don't just say this stuff because we're guessing, right? It's a very high probability. You're never going to have a 100% hit rate in trading, but you're looking for that high probability outcome. Excuse me. So there you go. Very nice. Shout out to anybody who's been watching the streams and was able to capitalize on that information. But let me jump into chat here real quick. Shout out to Brillo, said, what a great call on AVAX, huh? I took advantage of borrowing some of my ETH against it, already doing well. Shout out to Brillo. Let's go, baby. Shout out to Brillo. We're going to throw some money for Brillo. Let's go. Shout out to Brillo. And I don't use Brillo, to be honest, guys. We don't use Brillo here. Me and Mrs. Candles, we clean our dishes with cold hard cash, baby. I'm just kidding. I think we have a scrub daddy. But shout out to Brillo, baby. Let's go. Shout out to Brillo. Congratulations, bro. But hey, you took the information and used it, bro. We're just up here giving the free education. Let's see. We got Crypto Knight says, Litecoin, please go to the moon. Please stop going sideways now. Shout out to Crypto Knight. Yeah. And we'll cover a lot of the altcoins as well, guys. But again, you could kind of take my overall sentiment based off total 3, dominance, total 2, all that stuff, the RTY. I mean, it's just, I cannot, I can't sit up here and say it's guaranteed, right? But like, all I could do is find the bullish puzzle pieces, the bearish puzzle pieces, and like kind of show you guys which way it's leaning. Obviously, we get to the next Fed meeting and, he changes everything and we don't get a cut or something. Obviously, that's going to affect the market, but we showed the charts, right? I would say this is definitely pointing towards a potential alt season coming in. Stay hydrated. Shout out to Costa. I do have the black coffee today, guys. I'm not going to lie, in the little mini paper cup. Paper cups are cool. Paper straws, not so much. I hate paper straws. Good Lord. Check Near, please. Shout out to Alex. Yeah, we could try to take a look at Near. No problemo. Shout out to Frank the Tank, bro. Nice name. No bias there at all, but that's a fire name, bro. He says, I leveraged my home on this AVAX move. Maybe that's why I moved so fast. Let's see. Shout out to Lucia. Said, Frankie, reason for Bitcoin being in snail mode? Well, I would say, I don't know. To be honest, I think it has to do with, like, I don't know if you're talking about this entire move up. I guess this is kind of like, this is like a slow grind to the upside. Listen, I think the market, right? Like when we talk about market psychology or just like overall market sentiment, another reason why I am still open, right? This could be the lower high, guys. I'm not, obviously, my bias here is to get a little bit bigger of a squeeze up. But, the only reason why I'm even entertaining the idea of getting a push to the upside, or not the only reason, but one of the things that factors in there is like, yeah, you have to think about market sentiment, right? It's like the market sentiment right now, and maybe it's a little bit better now. We're seeing some altcoins pop. We're seeing Bitcoin finally move up a little bit. So maybe it's changed a slight bit. But, this is just the sentiment here, I would say, is like annoyed, right? Like people are just sick of this, right? They want their altcoins to move. They've been waiting the whole, I think a lot of like retail crypto people are mostly exposed to altcoins because they want those big percentage gains. And I think it's really caused a lot of pain, a lot of frustration in the market. And like, we don't have massive euphoria as we push up into these levels. It's not like everyone's super bullish, which would be a lot more alarming in my opinion for the top to be in. But that's not what we're seeing, right? So, I would assume assume, it's just not the behavior that you see from the masses in a top, right? Like I would say this is more like the sentiment right now is trash, guys. It's like almost bear market sentiment, right? Like people are just sick of everything. They don't trust the pumps. And, if we were much more bullish here from a sentiment perspective, like then I'd, be a little bit worried. To be honest, when Trump launched his meme coin and the Solana trenches were going crazy, I'd mentioned this on my live stream many a times, like, guys, be careful. I'm not saying that this is marking the top, but it very often marks some kind of a significant top, if not the all-time high. Back then, I did not think it was the all-time high. I was explicit about that. But, that's kind of the sentiment you want to see, right? Like meme coins are going crazy. Everybody's hitting 1,000Xs on their meme coins. Trump drops a meme coin. Like that would be like a really big alarming thing if you were in an area where you thought a top was going to come in. But we don't have any of that right now, right? I would say more people are scared than anything or just frustrated. So just like another reason why it's like I do, you never want to trade off your gut. I was telling the premium Discord earlier today, you never want to trade based off your gut, but I just do have a gut feeling with all these things lining up that like even if we do see a flush to the downside, even if the charts start to look a little bit bearish, like I don't know. I just have a feeling, right? Like, it's not just a feeling. It's based off everything that I've looked at, but it just kind of gives me that, like, we have the daily money flow that was coming out, which is now coming back into the green. I don't know if I trust this, guys. And we were talking about this in the Discord as well. Like, talk about choppy market cipher, guys. This is the epitome of choppy market cipher. Red dot, green dot, red dot, green dot, right? It's just like, it's impossible to read because, like, none of these things are giving you long-term playouts. Typically on a higher time frame, it's like you get the red dot, you get some kind of a significant move. You get a red dot, you get some kind of a significant move. And then when you get these choppy, like, red dot, green dot situations, what happens? It's just super choppy, super hard to read. But even as money flow came back into the red, I would have to take that as a bearish sign, especially because we're rejecting the golden pocket. But yeah, I mean, I think if we pump, I think it might just kind of come out of nowhere. Because, and again, not just based off my gut. It's not just like I have a hunch, right? It has to do with the stuff that we're looking at. Even my gut feelings are based off of like a majority of like actual data. But yeah, just another 2 cents there on market sentiment. Shout out to Tony. Hey, shout out to Tony. He wants to see Cardano. Yeah, we can try to take a look at Cardano. No problemo. We got Surly Sound in the chat. Said, might be all the money printer that is giving you that feeling. Yeah, I mean that too. Money flow chopped up. Yeah, shout out to New Earth. 100%. Shout out to Nirvana. Said, bull market isn't even started yet. And I will say this. Shout out to Nirvana. I'm not saying they're definitely going to be wrong, but I would definitely not say this bull market hasn't started yet. I do have to be clear about that. This bull market has been going on for quite some time. And we are getting very close to being in the longest bull market that we have ever been in. We're not quite there yet. I can pull up the chart. Where is it at? Where is my cycle chart? Pull it up over here. So, when we look at this, let me pull it up on the weekly, right? We're getting pretty close to like the longest bull run ever, right? Like I would say like the longest it's taken from the halving to the top. I mean, longest cycle ever as well. But 525 days from the top, from the halving to the top, right? Like we are creeping up there, right? Like we're going to get there on the 29th, right? And it doesn't mean that we can't just see the longest bull market we've ever seen, but I'm not going to expect this to be like, we're going to pump like all the way in there. And, things could change, right? Like, who knows? I forgot who said it. I saw somebody talking about, maybe when Powell's term is over, Trump could like appoint someone who's going to be much more aggressive on cutting rates and printing money and all that stuff. And like maybe that could extend the cycle. They weren't talking about crypto specifically, but they were just talking. I was watching a podcast. They were just talking about in general, right? Like Powell comes out, right? He appoints somebody new, obviously with his that's going to do what he wants, right? Which is obviously going to have the markets do well. Maybe we see something like that play out, but at this point, I would not say this is just starting. I would say maybe the altcoins are just starting, but that is a very short-lived thing. And even just looking at this chart, guys, it's like makes a lot of sense, right? Like Bitcoin's had its run, and like now we have dominance coming down after a massive, massive trend to the upside, right? We're finally starting to see a breakdown there. Maybe it's time for alts to shine. Right. And I do think, right, even if we do go into an all-time high, just to be clear, my bias, right, and I could be wrong about this, and honestly, I hope I am wrong about it. But, I am not going to be expecting this thing to be like just beginning. I am going to be expecting some kind of like a final top to come in. I'm not saying it has to go up to 170K. But I would definitely say for Bitcoin, I think like most of the gains have already been had, right? Like Bitcoin was at $15K in 2022. We're at $117,000. So you do have to keep that in mind as well. But it doesn't mean there's not a ton of opportunities. Obviously, a lot of the altcoins have not moved yet. So I do think, but I would say like probably most of the gains are to be had in the altcoins from pretty much this moment on. It's not to say that Bitcoin can't go up again. But for me personally, right, like someone who's buying Bitcoin down here in the bear market, right, like I don't know, right, I'm going to be more aggressively taking profits. And not everybody's in this situation, but I'm in a very cozy position, right? Because if we're going to go up to say 130 to 140K, that's 21%. I am going to be taking profit up there because it's like if we go up to 150, if let's just say, for example, I'm not saying I'm going to do this, maybe I will, but let's just say we get up to 135, right? And I sold my entire Bitcoin bag, which again, I am holding down here between like $21,000 and $22,000. I've already enjoyed this entire leg up, or this entire multiple legs up. Going from 130 to like even like 150, 160, $170,000, like I'm missing out on 25% when I've already captured this entire move. So that's just not worth the risk for me, right? Not everybody's in that exact same situation, so maybe your risk is different, or maybe you're maybe the gain, maybe that's going to be most of your gain, which, hey, 25% is not that bad. But at this point, right, like I would never tell somebody that, like, this is the best time to buy Bitcoin, right? You're buying Bitcoin literally at the highest it's ever been, pretty much, right? So, yeah, I mean, hopefully I'm wrong. Hopefully we go to 500K, 300K. Maybe something totally different happens where maybe we top out at 130 and we go into like a little mini bear market, and then maybe Trump appoints somebody new, and then we go up into a massive bull market. But that would be expecting something to happen that has never happened ever before. Not to say it can't happen, but for me personally, I would expect this to be one last final leg up. And when you get up there, that is what you're going to start to hear. This bull market has just started, right? And this is what retail does, right? They come in, oh my God, up only, buy the dip, but they don't understand that they are literally saying buy the dip after Bitcoin is already the high, like at new all-time highs towards the end of the cycle. So I would just be very careful with that. But altcoins, that's a different story, right? That's a different story. So yeah, but Nirvana, I pray that you're right. I pray that you're right. Let's see. Yeah, shout out to stock market can't collapse now. It doesn't make any sense whatsoever. Yeah. No, I mean, I don't think that really means that Bitcoin has to go to like, I mean, I don't know, how high you want it to go, but yeah, I just don't. Yeah, I don't know. I'm going to stick with my thesis here. And here's the nice thing, right? Like, we could change that thesis, right? If we get up, say, to $130,000, right? Let's just say we creep up there. We're at 130, 140K, maybe 150K, right? At that point, right, we'll very likely have signs on the chart of whether this thing is going to continue up in a massive way or, if I don't see the massive bearish signs, right, like, well, what are we going to do? If things are looking really good, I'm going to be looking for higher lows and higher highs, looking up towards higher targets. But just from an overall cycle perspective, I mean, we're already almost at, I don't want to say, like, it doesn't have to be the end, right? But historically, right, like, we're almost at the longest we've ever been in a bull market, right? So, yeah, I don't know. Hopefully, though, I pray, right? If Bitcoin goes to $500,000, that would be great. I mean, nobody wants that more than I do. Let's see. Yo, shout out to Brillo. Thank you for the super chat, bro. Says cheers again on that AVAX analysis, bro. Shout out to Brillo. I'm happy you got to take advantage of it, bro. Let's go and pat yourself on the back, bro. I just gave you the information. 99% of people, right? I would say like probably most of the mafia, but 99% of regular people are just gonna see the information. They probably will never do anything with it anyway. So just taking that action, bro. There you go. You deserve whatever you got. Whatever rewards you got from that, you deserve it 100%, man. Let's see. Solana, yeah, we'll take a look at Solana, no problemo. Panda says we're in a bubble, and when the bubble pops, it's gonna nuke. Yes, I would say so. Maybe the next Fed meeting they go like crazy and they start cutting rates like nuts, right? Like, well, maybe then we can expect a bigger explosion to the upside. But again, it's an information-based thing. I would just say, like, based off history, this bull market did not just start, right? And if I just let me hide some of these lines just to kind of show you guys. And, here's the thing. I always say this when we look in hindsight and look at history. You can't look at history to just repeat. But if you just look at this, right, like it very, very often rhymes, guys. Very often rhymes, right? 525 days from the halving to the top. In 2021, we had 546 days to the top. Here, we are at about, I'll give you an actual number here. We're at about 511 days, right? So it doesn't mean maybe you could go longer, right? Like, if we looked at this back here, you would say, oh my God, 500, and here again, halving. Having to the top, 525 days. Having to the top, 546 days. And you would say to yourself, like, oh, my God, we're at the longest we've ever been, right? Doesn't mean it can't go over or under a little bit. But, you ballpark it. History rhymes, right? It doesn't always repeat itself, but it does oftentimes rhyme. And even back here in 2013, from the having to the top 364 days, well, you might say, like, that's a lot less than here, and it's a lot less than here. But if you can see, right, that first top in 2021 came in 336 days from the top. So it does oftentimes rhyme. But, like, what we haven't seen ever in the history of Bitcoin is, I don't know. Like, maybe I'm sure there's going to be a lot of theories that you're going to go into 2026. And, like, we just never seen that, right? You're just, like, at that point, you're, like, way, way, way over the kind of, like, 4-year cycle theory, which, to be honest, I'm not really yes, the 4-year cycle plays out perfectly if you want to use that as, like, a blueprint to, like, navigate the crypto market. Like, I think that's great. I think it's done me very well. But at the end of the day, right, like, sure, the block reward having all that good stuff, but at the end of the day, this thing follows the stock market, right? So, I mean, if the stock market continues to melt up, Bitcoin will probably follow. But again, I just don't know how long it's going to go on for. That's my personal bias is last little parabola to the upside. And then let's see those altcoins fly. And maybe, if we're bearish up here, I mean, I would have to say you get up here, people are like, oh, my God, buy the dip, buy the dip. But if they're saying buy the dip on massive bearish confirmations, I am not following the crowd. I will tell you that much. And I think a lot of people who have round-tripped last cycle, if you were here, drop a candle in the chat if you're round-tripped last cycle. But if you... if you're back here, I think there's a lot of people that hopefully, I think it's a rite of passage to get wrecked in your first cycle, right? Like hold too long, not take profits, and then go into the bear market with just your screenshots. And I think hopefully, right, if you did that in the past, I think it was like a much, I think you lose money in your first bear market or just round trip in the first bear market. And then you learn all your lessons and then you actually make your money in your second cycle, right? This is my third cycle. But yeah, I mean, we'll see what happens, guys. We get up here and it looks like it's going to fly to 300K. I mean, we'll have things to look at, actual things to look at to anticipate that from the chart perspective. Let's see. Shout out to the Godfather, said the top will be on the 18th of October when ETFs are here. Shout out to the Godfather. And we also talked about this as well, guys. Let's not forget. I covered this, again, be careful of the, Frankie, why don't you pay attention to the news, right? Or why don't you pay attention to the narratives? Am I just undoing the same things or am I actually making progress here? Oh, there we go. Okay. So, every major top here, guys, has been accompanied by bullish news, right? Here is your ProShares Futures ETF launch, literally. 21 days before the high. Right here, Coinbase IPO, literally a week, I think it was 6 days before the high, right? Now, this wasn't a bear market necessarily, maybe a little mini bear market, but bullish news, right? People are like, oh my God, I should buy in now. This is just beginning, right? What happens? Boom. Oh my God, future, this is, adoption, let me buy. Boom, right? So there will be, I don't know what they're going to be. There's going to be news stories up there, right? Maybe it's, I don't know, institutions buying more or something like that, right? Like any big news that you see up there, I would just be aware, right? And it doesn't necessarily mean it has to be the all-time high. I would say at this point in the cycle, it would be a very high probability that it's the all-time high. But, it's probably going to be followed up with some bullish news to keep that retail super excited buying in at the top. So yeah, we'll see what happens. Hopefully Bitcoin goes, I don't know. What I want and what is high probability are two different things. I would love Bitcoin to go into, just have the bull market start right now. Let's see. Next quarter's earnings likely will not be good. Shout out to Chris. Something to keep an eye on. 2017, same CBOE futures. Yeah, I mean, just pay attention to it. I mean, and look it up, right? Like, I mean, I'm sure you can find stuff in here on these local tops that people are getting amped up on. I mean, yeah, I mean, November, that was the election, right? It's like, oh my God, pro-crypto president, right? And, we anticipated this drop down not to be the all-time high forever, but we did anticipate that drop down. So it doesn't always have to be the all-time high, but usually does. Yeah, I mean, it's not like every time there's a news event, right, you're going to sell. But, when you start to see bearish divergences or whatever it is on the chart, and then you have like, I don't know, you already have your bias of like, I think we're going down, and then all of a sudden there's these massive bullish news events, and you're like, oh, God, everyone starts getting excited. You're like, oh, man, right? And even all my personal friends and family, right, they all got excited here. Right? I'm like, I'm not even exaggerating. It's like literally at the top. That's where I'm like, back here in 2024, right? Like during the holidays, right? Like everyone at Thanksgiving, everybody at Christmas is like, hey, Frankie, can I talk to you for a second, man? I'm so good to see you. And like I go in there and they're like, all right, bro, it's ripping. What should I buy? And I'm like, oh, man, you're not going to like what I have to say, bro. And honestly, I would say 3 out of 5 of them just still bought high and then complained when we dumped. But, it is just very, very classic market behavior. But we just don't have that right now, which makes me feel good. Solano, shout out to Rudy. All right, so let's take a look at Solana real quick, or Solana, or Solano, or Solanzo, as our boy James Kramer would say. Let's take a look here, taking a look at Solanzo. Just kind of pressing up against that value area high, guys. We got the rejection here off the 4-hour bearish divergences. We held that daily. And we put in a new high here to print some more bearish divergences. We have now tapped into the 786 Fibonacci retracement. This is the Fib retracement from the high here all the way to the low, right? So definitely a major 786 retracement. We looked at this level yesterday. You have a daily, a value area high, and that 786 sitting here between 247.84 and 256.33. And we're just grinding up into that value area high. Hopefully, right, even if we get pullbacks here, guys, I would still say, right, we have like really, I'm not going to move this fib again. We moved this yesterday as well, right? So this is slowly creeping to the upside. But I would still say, right, like even if you got a bigger retracement, this is pulled from the impulse of this entire move all the way to the high. Even if we got a big retracement, I would still say like the biggest level of support here is going to be that POC. Sometimes, even if you break out and come back into the range, sometimes the asset will want to come in and retest that POC. This is also a golden pocket 786 retracement. This would also be a beautiful place to continue a higher low scenario. So this does sit between, and I'm not saying you have to go down there, but we are at resistance. We do have a 6-hour bearish divergence looking to print here. So if we do get the pullback, right, this is going to be a huge level to look at. I'm not expecting to come down here tomorrow. Maybe we never have to see it, right? But if we did get the pullback, just be aware. Sitting right here between about 220.10 and 210.56 is going to be a big level to look at for a potential higher low and higher high. Ideally, right, we just kind of snap up here. And then once we break above this 786, guys, this is an important level. And I'll pull up a clean Solana chart real quick just to kind of show you. I believe it is, right? Same thing on Bitcoin, right? We tapped into the golden pocket, little rejection, back into the 786, right? Once we break above this 786, well, what are we going to look for? This is that last level of resistance on Solana. Once we break above that 786 and hold, right? You can't just wick above here and have a weekly candle closure down below. If that's the case, well, then you can look for a bigger drop down. But if we get above that 786 and we can flip it to support, well, hey, that is the doorway to crack your structure to the upside to continue into new all-time highs, right? Where would I be targeting if we do see that more aggressive scenario play out? Well, I think we brought those levels up yesterday. It is going to be sitting here between 305.35 and 324.07. And we've already filled that volume profile in full, so just understand, like, even if we are going to break out there, you can get, right, low, POC, value area high. You do get little pullbacks here. Now, it could have been more aggressive, but just understand, you are at resistance, right? This is not a place where I would long Solana, right? You're longing the top. It's not the most expensive it's ever been, but you are longing the top, right? The long opportunities are always going to be on the pullbacks where nobody wants to take the longs, right? Nobody wants to long this, right? And we actually, I wasn't even looking at this daily. We pulled this up after the fact, but this is where you want to look for retracements and enter your trades, right? Not long as you've already come up, right? In my opinion here, and I explained this yesterday. I forget what it was on, but like if I long here, right, my stop loss is going to go down here, right? And then to be fair, right, what is this? I don't even know what this is. This is an MPOC. I don't know what this level is. This might just be a random line. It's not an MPOC. Oh, you do have a monthly MPOC up here as well. Oh, you know what it might be? It might be an ExoCharts MPOC. So yeah, we do also not only have the daily and the 786 up there, you also have a monthly naked point of control. Yeah, I don't know what this is. I'm going to take this off the chart. It's not an MPOC. But, I mean, arguably, maybe, again, I would never personally take this trade just because, in my opinion, right, the longs are to be had down here, down here, down here, down here, down here, right, not up here. But arguably, if you're targeting all-time highs, it's not the worst risk to reward, but just still not a place where I would look for a trade. Just because it's pumping does not mean it's a good place to enter, right? It means the asset's doing well, but it's doing well for the people who bought lower. So yeah, I mean, definitely big resistance up here on that monthly MPOC. So I would say get above that 786. You know, obviously you have the daily and the monthly MPOC up there. You want to hold above this. You know, it's probably going to be choppy, confusing, but as long as you get above there, that's where I would look for the all-time highs. This is the doorway, guys. 256.12. That is the doorway up here to 305.35 and 324.07, which are Fibonacci extension zones. If we pull back, this daily is now tapped, so we can get rid of this. And I would say that next big level of support, honestly, like big level of support, not local, would be between 220.10 and 210.56. So there we go. A little bit of Solana. Let's see. Gen Z said, I'm on to something here. Shout out to Gen Z. I don't know what you said before, but I hope you're on to something. Let's see. Shout out to Cigar Tachi. Said, random line. Isn't that most of TA, lol? Shout out to Cigar Tachi. Yes, these are all just random lines. We're actually just the luckiest people in the world. I think it's really what it comes down to. All these are just random lines. Actually, shout out to Cigar Tachi. I know you're joking, but this is why I love volume profiles, right? Because it's very easy, especially when you're trading patterns or you're just looking at like visual support and resistance. Not that you can't do that. I do that as well. But the beautiful thing about the volume profiles is like these levels are derived from volume. This is why the volume profiles work so well, right? Flip the value area low, POC, then you eventually anticipate the full fill of the range, right? We've now gotten that here. We got it here. We got it here. We got it here. We got it here, right? The reason this works so well is because these levels are not random lines on the chart, which I guess you could say trend lines are like random lines on the chart, but these are actually based off volume, right? So it's not like you're just randomly picking where these lines are. And this is why they work so magnetically, right? Because price action is attracted towards volume like a magnet. It's why the volume profiles work so well. But yes, it always brings me back to the spider lines. You know, sometimes people like seriously coming in, they're like, these are just random lines. Spider lines don't work. Trend lines don't work. And it's like, I mean, maybe, but if I'm just getting that lucky using these random lines, I'm going to keep using these until the luck runs out. But yeah, let's see. Frankie, how do you pull a fib extended template for targets? Can you make a tutorial? Shout out to Perry. I actually cover this often, right? This is like one of my most asked questions. When you pull your Fibonacci extension or retracements, it's the same tool. What I would recommend you to do is to just use the default settings, right? If you apply the defaults, you'll have your retracement levels and then you'll have your extension levels. And this has all the major, like most popular extension levels that people like to look at, right? So you have the 1618, the 2618, the 3618, and the 4236. So this is just, you just do your default settings. You'll have those extension targets. I have intermediary targets making like little pockets. They are somewhat experimental, so I would just recommend sticking to the defaults, which you don't even have to do any work for. I mean, you could change the colors or whatever you want, but if you just use this on default, right, like you'll get a lot of those same targets. I wouldn't be surprised if one of those main targets are one of the ones that I'm looking at. It's not. But, oh, actually, oh, man, I wish, let me see if I have this fib. Where is this fib from? It might just be pulled from a different retracement. But if I pull up Bitcoin here, right, my first major target here was between 91. It was like right up here in this pocket. And if you pull that same fib, like you're going to get almost the same exact levels. I just wouldn't, I would be careful with the ones that I'm using just because they're, you know, I don't feel comfortable saying that they're the best levels to look at. I would just stick to the most common ones. And at the end of the day, the Fibonacci retracements work because they're self-fulfilling prophecy, right? Like a lot of traders are looking at this, right? Everyone knows this is a big level, and maybe that's why it comes down. But you can see, right, like this was part of my Fibonacci extension targets, right? If I were to change this to my tool, you'll see my same pockets are sitting right there. Where is it at? Right? Sitting right here. And I didn't even have this one on the chart, right? It was really just these two. So same thing, right? But yeah, there you go. It's probably the easiest way to do it. Let's see. VeChain ADA. Okay, let's jump into Cardano. I got a few requests for Cardano. Let's see what we got here. Take a sip of that black coffee, baby. And shout out some, you know, I've been getting a lot of people asking me yesterday on the FOMC live stream. I was trying to fix the, and I was happy to see after the fact that almost everybody was having trouble with that stream. It wasn't just me. But I was like looking around trying to fix things, and people were like, looking at all those screens, bro, I want to see what your setup looks like. Show me. And I think I'm going to upgrade this setup in just in a very short while. So maybe we'll make a video. I'll kind of break down my setup. And just to kind of start that off with You guys don't need, obviously, you know, I'm a trading nerd, right? So like I like to have all the fancy stuff, but you don't need that, guys. You can trade just off your phone, right? There was a time where I was trading off of a phone and a Chromebook, right? You don't need any fancy equipment. People always ask me, what's the best computer for trading? Your phone, right? Like whatever you could look at it. You don't need a ton of stuff, but obviously, you know, if you're like me and you like technology, you're gonna want all the fancy stuff. Let's see. Oh, yo, shout out to Crypto Crow. What is going on, bro? Welcome in. Yo, flexing the check mark. Let's go. Crow, we're trying to get the check mark, bro. Give me some tips. Shout out to Crypto Crow. Welcome in, man. Good to see you. He says, when does Cardano break $3? Damn it. Crow your coins. Shout out to Crypto Crow. Let's take a look here. So for me personally, right, from a chart perspective, shout out to JQ. Thank you for the super chat. Says, can you please look at VeChain? Thanks in advance. Yes, I'll try to take a look at VeChain for you as well. I'm not going to lie, guys. I had a lot of VeChain last cycle, and I planned on buying more of it this cycle, and I didn't. I think I still own some, but it's not a significant amount. So, yeah, let me take a look at Cardano here for you guys. So, obviously, we have our volume profile here. Let's see, $3. Let's take a look here. So just from a long-term perspective, like I don't see anything wrong with this chart, right? And the reason for that is because we just have clear, like it's probably clear on a lower time frame. If I hide some of this TA real quick. We have very clear low, high, higher, low, higher, high, higher, low. And the reason this is nice, in my opinion, right, is because from a structural perspective, right, a Fibonacci perspective, when you're looking for the higher lows, whether it's on the 5-minute chart or the weekly or the monthly, that golden pocket 786 is the level you want to look at, right? This is the lowest I like price to go to see that higher low come in before breaking structure to the upside and putting in a higher high. Very clean, right? We did that. And I know like this was very brutal for people, right? Even this was very brutal for people. But why is this not scary to me? It simply has to do with the fact that the retracement levels are holding up, right? Golden pocket 786. And technically, this 786 is front run. But when you're looking for the higher low, it's the same thing as the previous one, right? You're going to be looking between the golden pocket 786. And once you lose the 786, it looks a lot worse for me, right? So if we broke that 786 down here, I would have looked for a break of structure to the downside. If we break this 786, could potentially be looking for a break of structure down here. I'm not expecting that, right? This is why I'm not really worried. A lot of people are like, I don't know. I think a lot of people are just sick of altcoins right now. But from a chart perspective, right? This is a beautiful uptrend. And the fact that we're holding above that 786 is very nice. So for me personally, let me pull up some other stuff here. So we have our Fibonacci retracement to the upside, sitting between $1.92 or $1.97 to about $2.49, very close to the all-time high at about $3. And right now, in my opinion, the biggest level I would not want to lose locally is going to be this golden pocket 786. And I believe it is also a daily level. Let me just hide some of this stuff as well. Just try to make this a little less confusing. I know a lot of all those levels can kind of throw people off. But daily, you got two dailies down here, golden pocket. So it's the same thing here. It's not the macro golden pocket, 786, but locally to keep this uptrend going, right? If we pulled back here, I would be fine with this, right? So I'm not saying you have to get this pullback, but even if we got this, I know it's going to be like a lot of fear. But there's just nothing wrong, in my opinion, of coming down to test this. And when I pull up the volume profile once again, right, you're just within your profile, right? We've gone from the low, you went to the POC, you flipped the POC, next place for price to go, very likely, is the value area high. We're now rejecting that value area high. So is it possible that, when you approach from a rejection on the high, right, in my opinion, right, or based off the volume profiles, it is somewhat high probability to fill that range in full. Now, this would not scare me, right? This would not make me worried, right? This would just look like a very long-term sideways range for me. And to be honest, I would probably be looking for longs down here. I don't trade Cardano, but if I were, this is where I'd be looking to try to find a long. Once you lose that 786, well, then we're going to have to come back down and retest that macro 786 I just showed you guys. And that level, getting a loss of that level, in my opinion, would probably mean that the top is in our Cardano. But we're very far away from that. I'm not anticipating that. So, I would say worst case scenario, we'll have to come back down and play in this zone between about 73 and 61 cents. And then in the other case, right, maybe you could just scam out here. The only reason I don't, it depends, right? If all the alts start pumping, Bitcoin dominance starts nuking, and everything starts pumping excessively, maybe you can just scam out of here. But I am going to keep the open idea of it might not be over, right? We might have to come down one more time. It's an if this then that situation. If we came down here, I'd be looking for longs or maybe pick up on spot. And then if we scam out of here, well, I hold Cardano, so that would just be very exciting for me. Now, when do we hit $3? Shout out to Crypto Crow. So let's take a look, right? We have a very, very, very important range above us. And as you can see here, as we play around with this value area high, the nice thing here is if we either have to retrace back down to the value area low, I mean, that's no problem. When we look at the volume profiles, right, the value area low is the doorway to higher prices, but obviously the doorway of higher prices is going to give you resistance, right? We got about above the low. PLC is likely. We hit it. Then we got the big rejection, right? We come back in, back out. It's going to be resistance until proven otherwise. But if we could break out of that local range and flip this value area low at 88 cents to support, and more importantly, we've already tested the POC. More importantly, get above the POC sitting at 121. That's where I think there's a super high probability move into about $1.81, right? And this gets you closer and closer to the $3 level. But it's the same thing that we looked at on Solana, right? It's just a volume profile theory, right? Auction market theory, if you will. Shout out to our boy Jay. We looked up who invented it the other day, yesterday. In the 1980s, they invented this. I did not invent volume profiles, but it's the same thing here, right? You get in, you lose it. You get back in, you go to the POC. As long as you stay in that range, right, the POC is open. Once you flip the POC, super high probability of coming into that value area high. So when we look at Cardano, I would say flipping and holding not only the value area low, that's kind of step number one, but getting above the POC. Let me come up to a higher time frame. Getting above that POC at $1.21, this is a high probability that you push into $1.81. And at that point, that is the start of, in my opinion, right, your journey, right? This is the 2021 bull market volume profile. You have your value down here. You have your value up here, right? When price gets out of balance, right? When price has imbalance, meaning it comes out of the range, it's going to get accepted to the next fairest price, right? It's going to get attracted to the closest area of value. And inside the volume profile, the POC is the fairest price, right? Is the area where the most volume was transacted. And you can see you impulse out of this volume profile, and I think I might actually have this on the chart, right? You impulse out of this volume profile. Where is price very likely going to go? It's going to get attracted to the fairest price. And you can see we literally went right into the POC of that range. And we've come back down. Not only did we test the 786 retracement, but we also tested the range highs here. So it's like, are we in the process of potentially trying to get accepted in here for a full fill of that range? I think it could be likely, especially if we see alt season come in with dominance coming down, the RTY breakout, total 2 tapping on the all-time highs. As long as we don't get those big rejections from those all-time highs on total 2. I would say, you know, as soon as you can get up to this value area high, it's probably going to be confusing and annoying. But I would say the doorway, shout out to Crypto Crow, the doorway to $3, in my opinion, and beyond is going to be the 786 sitting at $2.48, right? If you can get above there and hold it, that's your ticket to all-time highs. It's the same thing that we saw on Bitcoin or anything that we look at. Even on Bitcoin earlier last week, I'm a mess right now. Yesterday, when we looked at Bitcoin, right? What were we looking at? What level were we looking at breaking in order to call for this level to get hit? It was the break of the 786. And why is that, right? Well, we also had a daily here as well. Do I still have that daily on the chart? I do, right? So we had this zone right here. This was the level to break above. Once we broke above this level, we anticipated a very likely push into our next key level of resistance. We had liquidity above, hence the fast pop up, right? But breaking that 786, if we're looking for a high, a low, a lower high, and a lower low, that is a possibility. But once you get above that 786, it invalidates the idea of the higher low or the lower high and would give you the break of structure to the upside. It's the same thing on Cardano on the higher time frame, right? If you're going to be looking here, which I wouldn't be looking at this, but if you were going to look for a massive lower high on Cardano for a lower low, I'll take all this off the chart to make it as simple as possible. Right? If we were just going to look at this as our macro Fibonacci retracement pulled from the absolute bull market 2021 high to the bear market lows of 2022, if you're looking for a high, a low, this is the place to put in a lower high before continuing down for a massive bear market, right? Not that I would expect it to go down that low, but once you get above that 786, that invalidates the idea, and that's where you go into all-time highs. If I were to look at this on Bitcoin from a higher time frame perspective, it was the same thing, right? Pull from the bull market high to the low, There's your 786. This is your doorway to new all-time highs, just to show that this works, right? It's not just like random, guessing, right? You get up here, right? This is your biggest level of resistance. Once you get above that 786, sure, it gets confusing. You play around with it, but that's really the level you have to stay above in order to see those massive new all-time highs. So it's the same thing on Cardano. So shout out to Crypto Crow. I would say on ADA, the level to look at, it's really hard to call the timing of it, right? Hopefully sooner than later. Hopefully we can see alt season start sooner than later. But I would say the level to look at is breaking and holding above 248, right? And again, it could get confusing. It can get a little bit choppy, right? Maybe you kind of bing bong around, but once you're above there and you can hold it, right? And you'll have other things to look at in the market. If alt season is very clearly happening, Crow, I know if it is that heat of the moment alt season, that is where I would be looking for the break of $3. So hopefully that helps you out. And hopefully that helps anybody out looking to see where that next move on Cardano is gonna be. Let's see. How low will XRP potentially go in a bear market? Shout out to Moonlit. Very common question. And my answer always remains exactly the same. I'll take a quick look at XRP locally here as well. But it really depends on how high we go, right? Me personally, I know this is not going to be a crowd favorite, and it never is. But I got to say what I see, right? For me, I am going to be looking at, let me pull up my bull market targets for XRP. Where are they at? Where are they at? Where are they at? Bada boom. I'll even hide all this stuff, and I'll hide the daily MPOCs. So for me personally, right, I am going to be looking up next target to the upside if we can break out here, which, funny enough, right, the big key level to get above here is going to be that 786 to break the highs. But if we get above there, 418 to 553 is the next target, right, for me. And then once we get above that, we have the next target here, really the first bull market target. These are local targets. We've already rejected from our first local target. But first major bull market target is going to be about 554, right? Second target is going to be about 851. I am scaling out of XRP pretty heavily here if we get up there. And I know a lot of people are going to be like, but dude, it's going to 10K. But dude, it's going to $100. I hope so. But I am not making my bets on that. So it depends, right? If we come up here and we top out at $8, well, then the bear market target's probably going to be X, right? If we shoot up to $11, well, the bear market target's probably going to be a little bit higher than that. If we top out at $14, right, $15, it's probably going to be a little higher than that. And these are just random. I'm not saying it has to go down to $1.70. But I'm just saying it really depends on how high we go, right? So I can't really predict a bear market bottom until we see how high it goes, right? If we correct here, the bear market bottom is going to be much lower than if we come up here, in my personal opinion. So yeah, it's kind of hard for me to say. It just really depends on where we top out. But to give you guys an idea of where I would look for a top, again, let's see if we can cook up to 450, right? Get above there, cook into $5. I'm hoping for the $8 level. And hey, hopefully, I'm not saying I would sell everything at $8, but I'm scaling out heavily, right? I have these levels preset for a reason. I don't want to get stuck holding XRP, praying for some random target, right? These targets are all based off of actual data, actual technical analysis. So, it's like get up to target number 1. How's it looking? If it looks really good, maybe I take a little bit of profit, right? Then we get to the next target, starts to look iffy. I take a bigger amount of profit, right? Then we get up to $8. It starts to look like I think the top is in personally. I'm probably scaling out almost 100%. Maybe I'll hold a little bit more of a moon bag. And then if it goes higher, great. I'll make a little extra profit. But if it dumps, I took most of my money out of the market. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. If it gets up to $8 and it looks really good, maybe I'll take less profit and expect the next target, which would be $11.58. So these are my major. I have an XRP video where I cover all the bull market targets that I'll be looking at and how I'll handle it. So you can check that out if you want. But that's my thought, right? Like I can't really call for the bear market bottom until we know that we're topped out. If we top out here, well, it's probably going to be much lower than if we go to $11 or $12 or something like that. So there you go. Hopefully that helps you out. CRV. I will take a look at CRV. A lot of people were asking for that yesterday. In the coming bear market, everyone will load up on BTC after everything that happened in this bull run and ETH taking forever. Yeah, shout out to Don Crypt. It's definitely not impossible. Shout out to Crypto Crow says, thanks, homie. Good insight. Shout out to Crypto Crow. Appreciate you, bro. Thank you for stopping by. Let's see. I definitely think that this next bear market will either be very short-lived due to front running or the macroeconomics will make BTC go way lower than we anticipate. Shout out to Brillo. There's a lot of things that could come into play. My guess is that in the bear market, this is total speculation, in the bear market, you start to get fears of institutional capitulation. And I think that would drive a lot of fear, right? And then what does that do, right? That tells people like, oh my God, the powers that be, right? The big guys are losing faith in crypto. This is the last bull market, right? That was the last bull market. This is the forever bear market, which is what happens every single bear market, right? Last cycle or this past bear market, it was regulation, exchanges going down, and it gets ugly, guys. Honestly, even down there, I'm sitting here, I'm like buying the lows is very scary. Anytime I've ever bought the bottom, and in this bear market, I bought pretty dang close to the bottom. I didn't buy 15K. It was 21 to 22K. But even buying down there, I'm just man, I mean, you got exchanges going down, you got all this stuff. I'm like, man, I hope I'm not going to get wrecked here. But again, sometimes the best trades are very, very difficult trades. So just keep that in mind. But yeah, I think there's going to be a lot of potential narratives. I just have a feeling institutions might have something to do with it. Bubble's going to burst and cause an epic bear market. I mean, listen, if we go into a true recession, just understand here, guys, Bitcoin was created after the 2008 financial collapse. So, Bitcoin's never really seen a full recession. So, if we're going to see, typically, right, from a logical perspective, the bear markets will get percentage-wise as the asset matures, as the market cap gets higher. The dips and the rips, it stables out, right? The rips aren't as hard, the dips aren't as hard. But if we see a crazy recession, let's understand, maybe you got a little mini recession there during C19, but, Bitcoin's never really experienced a full-blown economic collapse, right? So, maybe that could make it, I'm not saying it's going down to 1,200, but, maybe that gets a little more aggressive, but we'll cross that bridge when we get there. We got plenty of time to think of that stuff. Shout out to J-Bone. What is going on, man? Says, hey, Candles, thanks for the videos. Can you review Litecoin and BCH? Thank you, and the community. Shout out to J-Bone. Yeah, we could try to take a look at LTC and Bitcoin Cash. I got some alts written down here. Real quick, I do want to dive into XRP a little bit locally. I'll try to give you guys an update here. I'm sure probably not much has changed from yesterday. Yeah, we're just kind of hitting our head on that POC. This is still anchored VWAP as well, right? We had this key level here yesterday. We're just getting a little rejection there, right? Once you flip the POC, next target is the 786 at 323. And I would be careful of resistance there, but once you get above that, right, maybe you get a rejection, but once you get above that 786, then we can finally look up towards the value area high sitting here at 335. Other than that, you're just still within your volume profile, right? This little pullback, we say, well, hey, as long as you hold above the value area low, POC is likely. You get a little dip, higher low, higher high, higher low, higher high, push into the POC. You get a little rejection at the POC. You're still within your range. As long as you don't break the value area low, the doorway to the POC remains open. So maybe we get a little chop around here, but as long as you stay above the value area low at 291, doorway back to the POC and potentially above is open, potentially giving the final target, not final, but the last target of about 335. And then once we get up there, probably going to see some turbulence, but once we get above there, we could start to talk about potentially breaking into new all-time highs. And if I pull that Fibonacci retracement to look for the 786 to break, look to crack above that 345, right? 345, 786 Fibonacci retracement in order to look for the crack of the all-time high. So there you go. That's what I would look at on XRP. Let's see. Treasury companies are easy money. Just don't ride it back down. Yeah, shout out to Kitty. I think that's what that says. Kitty Kush. Shout out to you, man. Yeah. Let's check in on Bitcoin here. Getting a little continued pop to the downside. Obviously, nothing really that crazy. But yeah, man, I'm ready, guys. I'm ready. Let's, my base case, guys, stay above 107K. Still holding my long, by the way. I'll just show it again. Still pretty much sitting in the same, little bit, up a little bit more. We finally tapped out that. Yesterday, we had the take profit up here at about 117.5. Finally smashed through that, but still holding the long. 2K locked in, almost 2K unrealized. Long from the tippy bottom here. So I will be looking to add to this if we do come back down as well. And actually pulling up Bitcoin real quick. Places, right? Key levels of support. I actually did not cover this, and I said I would, right? Key levels of support here, right? Well, what am I going to look at? Locally, if we are, right, going to continue up towards that POC after a little bit of a correction, I will be looking at the golden pocket. retracement sitting here at about 115.9 to about 115.781. This is also confluent with this local range, POC, right? So we can come on in here, retap that POC 786, even the value area low here, honestly. Like, it's kind of a big zone. But this POC golden pocket confluence, you know, if we're going to come back down for a higher low and a higher high to push into that POC, if we don't do it sooner than later, and we have to come down for that retracement, this might be a place where I would be interested in looking for another bounce. But I will be looking to add to this position, right? If I don't have a reason to close this position in full, I've already taken more than half profit out. But I will be looking to add to that position because at the end of the day, guys, as long as we hold above the $107,000 key level of support, right, I am going to be anticipating that there is a decent possibility, especially if we can get above that point of control, to see new all-time highs come in. So, yeah, I never want to sound like bearish on Bitcoin just because I think that the next all-time high will be that final parabola. It is going to be a new all-time high and probably be very exciting, and altcoins will do very well. But, you know, you just don't want to get overzealous, right? And just understand, right? Like, a lot of people probably thought, I mean, not probably. Back in 2021, guys, I can't tell you, everybody and their grandma was looking at 30K being the new bottom. 30K is the new bottom. Oh, my God. Right? And honestly, from a structure perspective or a Fibonacci perspective, technically you're holding the 786, right? But when you have your high time frame money flow coming out, right, not every Fibonacci retracement is going to give you the higher low for a higher high. This would look like a valid place, or it was a valid place, low, high, higher low, higher high. You could have been looking for that. But when you look at your money flow, it was as clear as day here that this cycle was over. From a timing perspective, from a 4-year cycle perspective, from a money flow perspective, from a monthly, weekly, 2-week bearish divergence perspective, many reasons to look for that high. And as I always say, people hated me when I talked about that. And I was happy to take it. I'll take the arrows, guys. I'm never going to say something that is not on the charts. I'm never going to see the charts screaming for downside and say that we're going up, right? I have to stick with the charts. And are the charts going to be right 100% of the time? No. Are they right way more than they're wrong? Absolutely. So just understand that, right? It's like everyone wanted 100K here. We got nowhere close. Everyone said 30K was the bottom. It definitely was not, right? So you have to understand what to look for on those charts. But, you know, as long as we hold above 107K, my long-term bias is going to be more bullish. So, yeah, unless we get the lower high here on the Fibonacci retracements and then money flow starts coming out on the weekly. In that case, it's going to look really bad. But that's not my base case. Hasn't been and still won't be until we break 107K. And then we'll reassess the situation. Let's see. Shout out to Wick589 said, James, be greedy when people are fearful and fearful when people are greedy. That's the Wick credo, eh? Shout out to Wick589. Let's go. Very easy to say, hard to do, but definitely the truth. All right, so let's jump back into the altcoins here. Took a look at Cardano, took a look at Solana, took a look at XRP, Ethereum. Let's jump into Litecoin. Was it LTC? Yeah, let's take a look at Litecoin real quick. One day, guys, you're going to watch a Frankie Candles live stream, and he's going to get the chart right. He's going to get the the ticker right every time. All right, so I mean, I think you guys probably know what I'm going to say here. Got above the low, reclaim, POC is open. Rejection from the POC, you hold the value area low, you hold the value area low. At this point, next, we have not hit that value area high, so I would say the next target to the upside is going to be about 126.67. This does not mean that it is about to go to 126.97. It is the next target to the upside. It is that magnetic target. Key level of support, I would just look at this volume profile, to be quite honest. I don't want to overcomplicate things. If we pull our fib from this low to the high, you could see the higher low came right in on that golden pocket, exactly where you would hope it would. And that gives you a potential opportunity to break structure to the upside. Will it break? Let's see. You got your low, your higher low, potential higher high incoming, and you have the magnetic POC pulling you to the upside. Boom. POC. Value area high. Value area low. So, yeah, I mean, this would be the range to look at. I mean, this fib has already been tapped. You still have the 786 sitting down there. But I'll give you some local levels here. I would say, unless you lose this 786, if you lose the 786 at 113.53, I'd probably be looking Yeah, I mean, we bounced off the golden pocket. Did we front run that? Because I'll leave this on the chart actually, because this is technically front ran. So locally, I would say if you get a cool off, right, golden pocket 786. These are just local levels, guys. Long term, before I go over this, right, long term, stay above the value area low at 108.31. I know not everybody's looking for like low time frame scalp entries, but if you're here just for like long term, the key level to hold here is 108.28. If you lose this decisively with money flow coming out, that would be an indication of more downside, in my opinion. But as long as you stay within this volume profile, meaning above this value area low, I would say the doorway to the POC is still open, right? It could be an ugly journey, right? But that as long as you stay above here, that doorway to the POC is open. Flip the POC, you're looking for the full fill of the range. And we are approaching from underneath. It's not like we tapped the value area high and we're waiting for a full fill up, right? We've already gotten a bounce back off that value area low. So 108.31 is going to be the key level on the high time frames. And if I pull this fib, you held that 786. So yeah, I would definitely watch this level here. But for local levels, and I guess you could probably look at it like this as well, right? So you can look at it as a zone as well, right? If you're looking for an entry or, not financial advice, obviously, but, the support zone sits between the value area low and this Fibonacci retracement. It sits between 112.01 and 108.38. So once you come down here, you lose the 786 and you can't hold it, right? Well, what are you doing, right? You're probably losing the value area low. You're also losing your 786. What does that mean? You're probably going to break structure to the downside here. That's why I would expect more downside if you lose that value area low. But locally, on a lower time frame, for those of you looking for shorter time frame stuff, pull from the low to the high here. I would say your local Fibonacci retracement sits here. And obviously, you could pull it from this low. You could pull it to this low. You could pull it to this low, right? The way I handle this is if I was looking for an entry here on Litecoin, right, I would wait for price to come down to my level. But what if it comes up first? Well, then I missed the move, right? That's okay. You just found another trade. But if you push down here, right, am I getting the confirmations I want to see to enter a long position? If I get those confirmations, well, I'll say, hey, I have bullish confirmations. It looks like we're going to bounce. And this bounce is a place where I could put in the higher low. So that would be zone number one. If we come down there and we're not getting the confirmations, it looks like garbage, well, I'm going to anticipate lower. So what's that next Fibonacci retracement I'm going to look at? I'm going to look at the one from this swing low, right? If that doesn't hold, then I look for the full Fibonacci retracement. But when I pull it up on the live stream, right, I have to pick and choose what we talk about. I can't just, I'm just going to confuse everybody if I just start saying like, all right, here's every single key level that you could possibly look at, right? Oh my God, it's a nightmare. So I would say the full and most important Fibonacci retracement really sits right here, between 114.77 and 113.50. All right, if we got the pullback down there, this is really where you want to hold, right? Because once you break that, I'm probably looking back down towards that value area low. So that's what I would look at on Litecoin. That's the key level. And long term, as long as you remain inside of this value area low, door to the POC is open. And it also lines up with the market structure as well. So there you go. No, I don't own any Litecoin, but I could perp trade it. Yeah, shout out to Brillo. Absolutely, brother. Shout out to shout out to Spiritual Trading. Says, my doodle needs to be respected. Ticker sign dude. I will try to, I said we were going to take a look at this. Actually still written down here on the notepad. So I will try to take a look at that for you, Spiritual. Thank you for the super chat, brother. Dang spelling mistake on a super chat. Respected it did. Shout out to Spiritual. BTC dropping. Oh my God, it's going to zero. Oh, there we go. Oh my Lord. There's your 30-minute bear div. Play now. Shout out to the beginning of the stream. Pull it up over here. Oh, right through the top daily. Oh, no, it's going to zero. Yeah, I have nothing to update. So key levels still remain the same, but we're just getting the drop to the downside. And again, if you were here from the beginning, right, what did we talk about, right? I'm not saying this to brag. I'm just saying it. This is how TA works, right? Bearish divergences, SFP, right? Drop to the downside. Not really a shocker. So yeah. Shout out to Retro Mike Tech said Frankie knows it's all going to zero. Let's see. Down we go. Shout out to Eugene Sky. Hashtag people just do nothing. Shout out to Hugo's. That's probably the best trading advice a lot of people could get. Most questions I get here on the channel is like, should I do this? Should I do that? I'm like, honestly, my recommendation to you is to do nothing. Sit on your hands, because most people ask questions based off an emotional reaction. They're like, oh my God, I'm in this trade. It's in the red. What should I do? I'm like, well, honestly, the thing you should have done is probably not enter the trade in the first place, because if you got into a trade and you don't know what to do, you shouldn't have taken the trade, right? You should always have a plan for your trades. Take a look at ETH. Oh, did we not take a look at ETH? I would say, I mean, listen, ETH, we talked about this yesterday. You got to be careful. And we compared it to back here, which is hilariously similar. I'll even pull a bars pattern here real quick, right? So you got like your deviation above, your push into the range, your little fake out, and then back to the POC and back to the value area low. I'm not saying it has to play out exactly like this, but here's your deviation above, right? You get the move in, you try to get back out. I could try to resize this a little bit. Obviously, not going to play out exactly the same, but I'll just draw it out, right? You get into the range, you front run the POC, you try to get out, you get the deviation above, back into the range. POC, value area low is the next trajectory for price. It's the same thing here. We covered this yesterday. You're ping-ponging around in the range. You come down, right? At this point, we get a retracement to the upside. You still got to get above the value area high, and right now I even talked about, like, you could even squeak above this and get accepted back into the range, and that's where we compared it to this, right? Can't get out. The POC is the next stop for price, and then the value area low. Simply put, I mean, that's what I would look at. So I would say this value area high is absolutely key to remain above. It's hard for me to say if you're just going to kind of like chop around here. I mean, we've been looking mostly at the daily money flow, right? Daily green dot is printing, makes it a little difficult to short against that, but this will probably confirm very soon. And if we look at it compared to the daily on Bitcoin, right, it's just like red dot, green dot, BS, right? So it makes it a little difficult to call here, but I would say, like, still daily money flow is continuing to the downside. We've come into our macro golden pocket 786 retracement in full. This could be a high, a low, a lower high before a lower low comes in. So breaking back down into this volume profile, I would say get accepted below this value area high. You have to hold this, right? This sits at about 45.83. If you can't hold this value area high, well, guess what? I'm going to be looking for a bigger drop to the downside towards the POC. And again, it's not always going to just look like this perfect fill. Right? I have to be explicit about that, right? This is why patience is so important, right? You break down below the volume profile, right? Even on the 30-minute, you had money flow coming out here. You can't see it, right? Money flow coming out. At that point, it's like, well, hey, the next target's the POC. You barely front-run the POC. And then it's like, oh, my God, what happened? I thought we were going to go to the POC and the value area low. Take a deep breath, right? Is your money flow coming out on the medium time frames? Let's check it. 4-hour money flow. Of course, it's super chopped up, but it did come back into the red here as you got accepted back into the range. But what happens, right? You come up, and the magic laws of that volume profile indeed do play out. It's super choppy, super confusing, but if you just have patience to let it play out, oftentimes it does. And I can't say it's 100%, right? Like, you can't just short a value area high and expect it to play out every time. You have to understand other things to look for. Context is always going to be the most important thing. But what's our context here? Our context is daily money flow, and it's kind of hard here because the money flow is so chopped up, right? Daily money flow is coming out. This indicates high, low, lower, high, potential lower, low, right? But then you look at the 16-hour, money flow's crossing into the green. You look at the 2-day, money flow's kind of looks, money flow, high, lower, high, VWAP coming down, looking for a red dot. This could continue out. Take a look at the 3-day. 3-day looks amazing, right? So it's like you have a lot of choppy price action here. So I would pay more attention to the volume profiles. Lose this value area high, can't get back out. That's where I would look for a drop down towards the POC and the value area low. With the idea that, hey, this may have been the high time frame lower high, which would indicate a potential break of structure to the downside. That's what I would look at. Value area high sits at 45.82. POC sits at 4,300. Value area low sits at 41.91. So that would be, still the range. I'm looking at this range to be the roadmap for price unless we can hold this value area high and break up towards that 786, flip it, and then I'm looking for all-time highs. But daily money flow is not necessarily calling for that. If you want that more bullish case to play out right now, it doesn't mean Ethereum's going to zero. It doesn't mean we're not going to see a new all-time high. But if you are going to look for that to happen, you have to anticipate a complete fake out on your money flow. That's why my bias is like a little bit cautious here, right? Because money flow is very clearly trending down. So there you go. And the top was put in here on a daily bearish divergence, right? Again, not the top forever. You know, if we have to get a much bigger breakdown and things, we get some more effery in the market, right? Could still look all the way down here towards about 35, 34. Like we could even come down here and test this level, and I would not be super worried. So there you go. When in doubt, zoom out. All right, let's see. Let's jump really quick into curve. I haven't looked at this in a while. I have to get my bearings here real quick. Let's get this. Okay, I can take this off. Okay, so we're tapping into this golden pocket from the low to the high. 2 key levels. Honestly, not much has changed here. You went from the low to the POC, eventually hit the value area high. We have now deviated above. We are now back into the range, right? So what does this mean? Well, this means that we can get rid of this daily MPOC because it got ran through. Let me just label this POC. Okay, so from a very, very neat and tidy and not confusing perspective, let me just clear all this stuff off. Here's your volume profile. We've rotated in full. This would mean, now that we're, until we break out of this value area high, as long as you remain below this value area high, could be the POC next. 61 cents. Now, the nice thing here is if I bring all those other levels up, you can see that the 786 is in confluence with that POC, right? So right now, this golden pocket 786 is the area if you want to continue your higher low, higher high structure from this low to this high. If we want to continue that uptrend, you're at that first level where you would hope for the bounce, right? And this does actually come down to the anchored VWAP and the daily MPOC. So this zone right here, 74 to 70 cents. If we lose 70 cents, I'm anticipating the POC 786 between 63 and 60 cents. If we bounce here, break out of the volume profile, well, you can look for a continuation of the uptrend. If you lose the golden pocket and bounce off the 786 POC, you can still look for the uptrend. You lose the POC, it opens up the door to get a move down to the value area low. Now, you do have the 2 daily MPOCs, and you have another weekly and daily MPOC down here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull this full fib and see if I have confluence. So I would say anytime you break below the POC, it opens the doorway to the value area low, but you do have a last-ditch effort here to bounce before getting to that value area low, sitting at about 52 to 50 cents. But for the most part, in a general sense, lose the golden pocket, I hope for the bounce here. If you lose this, I'm probably looking for the value area low. It's harder for me to long these levels because you're longing directly into resistance while you're expecting a full fill of the range. So it just doesn't make a ton of sense for me to long there. It's a much more difficult trade. I would much rather wait for the value area low. So these are the 2 biggest levels on curve. 100%. 74 to 70 cents. Lose that. If you lose 70 cents, I'm looking down to 63 to 60 cents. So there you go. Shout out to Petros. Says Biddy is Bitcoin and Bitcoin is Biddy. Let's go. What's this about $1 trillion in options expiring tomorrow? Oh yeah, it's tomorrow, Friday already. It's the triple witching. And I'll be honest with you guys, it has something to do with options expiring. People are forced to close their positions, so I would expect a lot of volatility tomorrow. Yes, I had to look that up, honestly. When someone said it the other day, I was like, triple witching? I was like, what is going on? We're talking about witchcraft now? We're going to move Bitcoin? Come on, guys, come on. No, but it is a real thing. People are going to be forced to close their positions. It's probably going to give a lot of volatility. I think it happens once a quarter, maybe. Again, I'm not going to pretend I'm an expert on this. But yeah, it could be a very volatile day tomorrow. Hopefully, not volatile to the downside as Bitcoin gets the drop. But again, like the daily money flow here, it's like now we're back in the green. Like this is just, man, I don't even want to look at it, man. I don't want to look at it. It's like the choppiest market cipher has been in a very long time. A very long time. Especially money flow. Even when your green and red dots give you chop, like usually the money flow is still smoothed out a bit. But this is like you got chop on money flow, you got chop on red and green dots, making it very, 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 very difficult. So yeah, expect volatility tomorrow. And if something crazy happens during the day, maybe we'll just go live and cover the live volatility. So yeah, that was CRV. Let's take a look at Bitcoin Cash. Do we have a Bitcoin Cash chart? I guess we do. All right, Bitcoin Cash. Simple. I don't remember the exact time that we looked at Bitcoin Cash last, but we had this golden pocket 786 in confluence with the value area high. Must have been a while ago. But there's that 786 doorway to put in the higher high, which you actually did just do. Oops. There it is. Boop. Slight higher high. But yeah, I mean, your key level to hold on top of here is going to be that 786. If you stay on top of the 786, right, it's high, low, potential lower high. What I would like to see here on Bitcoin Cash, honestly, is, yeah, you got multiple weekly candle closures up here. I mean, I would just want to hold this zone between the value area high and the 786. 557 to 486. This is what you want to hold. If you break back down below this, back into the range, you know, I would just look down towards the volume PLC and the value area low, honestly. Let me pull my fib here from the low. Sorry, guys. I don't want to pull my fib in public here, but sometimes you got to do duty calls. Not a ton of confluence, but key level. Key level, right? Now, in general, right, if you get back down below this value area high, simply put, POC is going to be next. Lose the POC, probably looking towards the value area low. The only difference here is based off money flow, at least on the weekly, indicates we could put in higher lows and higher highs, higher lows and higher highs to continue your uptrend. So these would definitely be big zones I would look at. This one sits between 439 and 387. This one sits between 339 and 308. But locally, stay above that 786. I mean, I would look to maybe cook above this this previous high here. Let's check the daily real quick. Man, daily money flow. Just about as choppy as the price action. Just super chop to the upside. At least it wasn't chopping sideways. Let's check the 2-day. 2-day money flow. Pretty choppy as well. Yeah, it does look, right, like you could form some bearish divergences up here. You do have higher highs, lower highs, VWAP, getting turbulence there, So, yeah, I mean, it's not forming yet, but you do have potential bearish divergences forming up here, which is a deviation above your volume profile. So, you know, if we get that to play out, value area high is the big key level to stay above about 491.70 for a bounce. If you lose that, I'm looking down here or down here. As always, I prefer the value area low, but definitely a possibility of bouncing off that POC, especially if you have, where's that anchored VWAP at? Anchored VWAP at the value area high. So let me take this off. So value area high, anchored VWAP sits between 490 and 475. So we'll see if these bear divs play out. If they do, obviously, you want to stay above the 786, but if you have to lose it momentarily, you're really praying for a bounce off that value area high. You get accepted in there. We're looking for a bigger drop to the POC or potentially the value area low. That's what I would look at. 339, 308, POC golden pocket, 441, 387, value area high anchored VWAP, 490, 490.20 to 475.30. There you go, baby. There you go. Shout out to J Stacks. Welcome in, bro. He said, no Solana, or did I miss it? We did do Solana. Just scrub back a little bit, brother. You will see it. I think it was maybe the second or third thing that we looked at. Shout out to Harry Potter. Shout out to Harry Potter. Says, It's a guess, but I think gold is the way for the moment after crash back into crypto and stocks. Shout out to Harry Potter. We'll see. I mean, gold has been on a ripper lately. All right, let's see. I knew you were a wizard, Harry. Shout out to Wick 589. Let's see. Japan has rate cut announcement tonight for a nice Asia session. Oh, baby. Maybe we'll get some finally get some volatility here on the Asian session. Yeah, we'll see what happens. Man, how crazy would it be? Just speculation here. How crazy would it be if the physical tap of that golden pocket is the lower high? That would be insane. Just totally clown everybody, not hit 118K, not hit the POC, and just come down from here. That would be wild. You got the bear divs. Also higher time frame bear divs as well, right? You had the 30-minute that we talked about in the beginning of the stream starting to play out right now, but you also have more bearish divergences printing into the actual key level of resistance, right? We talked about this yesterday during the FOMC meeting, right? We got the we had 10-hour bearish divergences, right? But it was into this daily, right? I would have really liked it to push into our key zone of resistance, which it has now finally done, and we are about to potentially print another 10-hour bearish divergence. So I may start to scale into a short position here. I just know. We're probably going to set up right before I go to sleep, which is going to be really, really annoying. It's exactly what happened last night. We started pushing into this resistance right as I was going to sleep, and we were fighting a daily green dot, a fresh daily green dot, which was stepping directly on the red dot. It was just like so frustrating that stuff happens right before I go to sleep. I hate taking trades right before I go to sleep, especially if I don't have all the confirmations that I want. 3 and 4 hour bear divs now finally printing as well. So the idea there, I haven't done it, but if we get a retracement, might be a time to start looking for a short, or maybe even just scale in. We'll have to see what happens. But just to point that out, right, just like in the beginning of the stream, before the dump, right, you know, you got the bear divs, you tapped in here. I don't know if it's going to be the dump, right? It might just be for a higher low to finally get sucked up towards that POC, because I am still a little bit suspicious here because we still have some liquidity leading up to like 118, almost 119K. There's still a lot of liquidity sitting up here, and that POC is usually magnetic for price. But you do have the technical indicators for potential drops down. 10-hour bear divs looking to print, 4-hour bear divs already printing, and then the 30-minute bear div has probably confirmed. 30-minute bear div, yeah, has been confirmed there. So we'll see what happens. Let's see. Yeah, shout out to Dare. Says, you sleep, Frankie? Charts take over my SHT. Sleep happy time? I don't know what that means. Honestly, usually I am sitting on the charts to the wee hours of the morning, if I'm being quite honest. Usually, yeah, say my average chart time ends at about 1 a.m. But it's like, it's honestly, the longer I trade, the more I am, you know, I think it takes experience as well, right? The longer I trade, the more I am willing to miss moves. Because trying to force positions before you go to sleep, more often than not, especially if you're rushing into it before you go to bed, and maybe you're jumping in before you get a final confirmation, and then you wake up the next day, that final confirmation never came in. You're like, dang, I should have never entered that trade. I used to wake up in the middle of the night on my trading view alerts. I still do that sometimes. But at the end of the day, guys, it's like missing a move is not a big deal, right? Actually, it hasn't happened in a while for me. But anytime it does, I talk about it, right? Because I think it's important to realize. I'm trying to remember the last move that I missed. So I missed this move, actually. We had the setup in the Discord from down here at 112K, but I personally missed that position. But what did I do, right? Like, I just let it go, and I catch the retracement, right? Like, trying to, like, just stay up all night, especially, like, after the 50th time that you stay up all night and price just goes sideways and you just have to go to bed anyway. Definitely not good for your sanity. It's also not good for your trading either. It's an easy way to burn out on the charts very quickly. FOMO was serious to battle with. Yeah, shout out to Mikey. And that's like, if you find yourself like checking and waking up in the middle of the night to check your portfolio, or waking up in the middle of the night to check your trade, that's not healthy. It really isn't. And I think everybody kind of goes through that. I've gone through that. I've come out of it. I've gone through it again. I've come out of it. It's not healthy. Like, the charts are going to be here tomorrow. And at the end of the day, you just like, if you miss a move, like, this is how you fight the FOMO, right? It's like, more often than not, your key level will get hit, right? If you're looking at the right levels. So, FOMOing into a move before a key level, or, more often than not, it's just going to be better to wait for that key level. I mean, just take yesterday for example, right? It's like, hey, like, we put in the bear divs at the daily. We got the drop down on FOMC, and it's like, you could have very easily FOMOed in. Now, I didn't, obviously, but you could have easily been like, oh my God, I missed the move. Oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, right? But my level was up here anyway. Granted, the POC is kind of the main level there. So still sitting up there. But, even then, like, if you wake up and you're like, oh my God, or, whatever it is, you miss your move and then you start dumping, it's like, it's too late to FOMO into that position. You got to wait for some kind of a retracement, or just simply sit on your hands, right? You would have FOMO'd in here and then been real pissed, because you would have been like, man, you wouldn't have gotten wrecked on the trade. Hopefully you got stopped out for a logical loss. Right? But like, at the end of the day, you're like, man, I should have just waited for my key level to get hit anyway. Right? And this had to happen to me 17,000 times before I finally just started having the discipline to just sit and wait for my key levels. And sometimes price will come up into your key level in the middle of the night, right? I'm not going to lie. If we're going to come up here and tap this POC, I'd put a high probability that this is going to happen at 3 a.m. while I'm sleeping. Right? And then maybe you get the big drop down and I miss that position. Am I freaking out? Absolutely not. Right? I'll just catch another trade, right? Whether it's on a retracement for a short to enjoy that move down, or if I'm just waiting for my next key level for a long. It's okay to not be in a trade every 5 minutes, right? It's honestly not only okay, but extremely important, because if you don't do that, you're going to wind up FOMOing into bad positions. Let's see. Harry Potter said, not financial advice, by the way. He said, will go up, but it will be real market will push it if we get a market and worldwide economic crash. Industrial demand will not into play. Shout out to Harry Potter. Shout out to Salinda, says that giant 4-hour inefficiency candle between 112.3 and 114.3 wants to get revisited. Well, when we take a look at those key levels, right, I will say, what did you say, 114.3? That's hilarious. 114.3 is where we have this daily and weekly NPOC. 114.250, which is an area of interest for me, right? Like, local levels of support on Bitcoin for me are going to be the Golden Pocket POC locally. Well, Golden Pocket's not there. There it is. Golden Pocket POC. Lose the 786 in this value area low. I'm looking down towards 114.250. If we lose that, I'm looking down towards where? Hilariously enough, shout out to Salinda, 113.5 to 112K. Anchored VWAP, Golden Pocket 786. It's not on the chart, but they're there. Just trust me. Golden Pocket 786, anchored VWAP, value area high. Big levels of support. Local, very interesting support for me. Nice. So there we go. All right, let's jump back into, let's check VeChain. I know we have a VeChain chart somewhere. Might not have been touched in quite some time. Oh, I guess it hasn't been that long that we've looked at VeChain. Yeah, I mean, you're just still bing-bonging around here in this bear market range. Value area low. Right now, we're trying to hold the POC, and you're holding the Golden Pocket as well. You have the POC Golden Pocket confluence. So we must have looked at this recently, because we have the will it break level there in the anticipation of a low, a high, and a potential higher high. Breakup structure to the upside with the value area high target above you at about 0.03246. And this looks eerily... Oh, man, I don't remember exactly what coin it was. This looks very similar to... I'm not going to spend a lot of time looking for it. I don't know what it was. I don't remember. I'm not going to be able to find it. But it looks very similar to a lot of the other stuff. Probably multiple coins, honestly. Where is it? VeChain. Yeah, like we came down, we hit the golden pocket, we chopped around a lot, and then finally we got that break of structure to the upside. So I would say as long as you hold on top of this POC, could break that structure to the upside here at about 0.02955. And then eventually, right, it would also be the continuation potentially into your value area high at 0.03242. And then your value area low here is obviously going to be, I mean, I would say this 786 is a massive level of support. If you lose this 786 at about 2 cents, I'm looking for a break of structure down here, which would very likely bring you into the value area low. And, yeah, I mean, this is a huge level of support, 0.01792. Like, you don't want to lose that value area low. I mean, to be quite honest, if we did come down there, I don't know if you're really going to break down. It might just be like another kind of play around with the value area low before coming back up. But the line in the sand there is at 786 at 2 cents. Lose that, I'm looking down towards the value area low. Money flow here on the 3-day, though. Again, 3-day money flow on altcoins is typically a very bullish sign, guys. So until we break back down below that POC in 786, could look for something like that. That's what I would look at on VeChain. Let's see here. Let's take a look at Dude. Shout out to Spiritual Tradie. Let's take a look here. I saved this one to the end because I don't know how many other people want to look at this. It's not fair to everybody that's here for the big coins. Not Bitcoin, big coins. Oh, man. I'm not going to be able to do much with this. Maybe I can. Let's see. I don't know what this is, so keep that in mind. But I will give you some key levels here. Spiritual. I'm gonna dive in here real quick, guys. I'm gonna play some background music because I'm about to go silent and lock in here, just so there's not dead silence. Let me see. I want to mark up this whole chart for you. Anybody who wants to know how I mark up my charts, watch this. Got the weekly there. That's it for that. Monthly? I can't even hear the music. What the heck is going on here? Oh, there we go. Some sick beats. All right, let's see. Daily. Daily. Tapped. 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 Let's do monthly MPOCs. None. Weekly MPOCs. Got one here. All right. So now we got our daily MPOCs, or we don't have them yet. We got the weekly MPOCs. We got the no monthly MPOCs. We got the daily, monthly, weekly horizontals. And now we have the daily MPOCs. So I'm going to try to do something here. I don't know what this is. I don't know if it's a meme coin. Maybe not. Maybe it is. Who knows? But a chart is a chart. So now we got the daily MPOCs here. All right, that's all I'm going to do here. Let's go ahead and... All right, so you're inside this volume profile. You tap the value area high. You almost filled it in full. Your doorway to higher prices here, Spiritual, is going to be the 786, sitting right here at 0.0053743. That's your doorway to higher prices. Until you break above that level, I would be cautious. And don't have a ton of money flow here. Money flow is super chopped up. I'm not even going to look at it, if I'm being totally honest. I don't have any high time frame money flow. 4 hour, attempting to come out. So I would be careful of rejections here. You've already tapped into the value area high. If you can't get back above this POC, I'd be looking down towards the value area low. 0.0034. You can see the number right there. If you push back into the golden pocket, I would still be concerned about getting back into this range and coming down to the lows. Really not until you break this level here at 0.0053714 that I would be looking for a crack of the high. This is your key level. Right there. Other than that, market cipher, I would say from a medium time frame perspective, I'd be careful of pullbacks. But other than that, higher time frames very hard to read just because I don't have a lot of information. But yeah, I mean, at this point, right, like if you did come down to that value area low, pull from the high to the low. Yeah, you got golden pocket confluence here, so this would be nice support. You know, I would say golden pocket level, golden pocket value area low is level number 1. Level number 2 is 786. So even if you did have to come back down here and put in a higher low and then finally get a breakout for a bigger move up, that could be possible. But this is what I would look at. You could screenshot these levels, Spiritual, to get these on your chart. And yeah, other than that, I would just watch this 4 hour money flow coming out. And if you do come down, key level down here towards the value area low / golden pocket, and then the 786 down here at about 0.00300803. Numbers are like impossible to say out loud. But there you go. Shout out to Spiritual. Hopefully that helps you out. Let's see. What's the indicator that automatically detects the NPOCs? That is the PVP, or the periodic volume profile. I have a tutorial in the beginner series to show you how to get that on your chart very simply, and also how to have it on a template like this. So very easy and simple. But if you watch the video, I think it's like how to find MPOCs, the video. If you go to the beginner series, you'll see that, and how to set it up perfectly for your own chart. Let's see. Dar says, does anybody see the daily bear div on SUI? I do. It is printing. It is there. Believe your eyes. Believe your eyes. What is our SUI chart here? Is it Coinbase? No. Is it Binance? Yes. Oh, there we go. We got the will it break level to crack into the key level of resistance, guys. You can't make it up. You can't make it up. You can't make it up. So there you go. You have your low, your high, your higher low, your higher high. We had the will it break level here. I don't think we looked at this. This happened today. So you do finally get that break of structure to the upside. We are now like 18 for 18 on these into your key level of resistance, and has now printed a 4 hour bearish divergence and a daily bearish divergence is a little iffy. It's there, right? You have the lower highs on your momentum waves. You do have a fresh green dot here, though. However, you know, if we confirm this candle in about 18 minutes, you're going to get that candle to confirm. Maybe if the VWAP would pretty much have to print an instant red dot. But to kind of front run the confusion there, you do have the 4 hour bear div printing. Money flow somewhat flat. Let's check the 15-minute money flow. 15-minute money flow coming out. So for the continuation down here, I would look for the 15-minute money flow crossover into the red with the 4-hour red dot printing. And that is what I would look for. You definitely have the 4-hour bear div. I mean, that's a clean 4-hour bear div. Lower highs, higher highs, into the golden pocket, which has been filled in full. You hit both levels there. So, yeah, there you go. We had that level waiting. So, yeah, might be able to get a little bit more of a continuation down there. Shout out to Harry Potter. Thank you for the super chat, bro. He says, Frankie, can you play Ace for Bass song, The Sign? Shout out to Harry Potter. I don't know that song. Is it copyrighted? Because I use copyright-free music and still get copyright claims somehow. I literally pay for the music and we still get copyright claims. I don't know how that works. But shout out to Harry Potter. Shout out to Wick 589, said, I get all that. It's easier to pay for the ride, and then we can drink like parties and zip back. Shout out to Wick 589. I don't know what that's in reference to, but Ubers all the way. Do not drink and drive, folks. Please, for the love of God, do not. Shout out to Spiritual, said it's a token for the Doodle NFT project. Okay, I did not know that. But, guys, I think that is all the time we got for today's live stream. Let's do one more check-in on Bitcoin before I let you go. 16,833. I don't know why TradingView is loading so slow. So we are attempting to hold that tap daily. So for me personally, guys, we do still have a lot of liquidity sitting up here. I am suspicious of getting sucked up to take out 118K into the POC in the top of the golden pocket. I'm suspicious of that. That does not mean that I will not enter on a retracement for a short to potentially be exposed in case we dump overnight. And again, this is okay, right? If I take that short position, especially because that long is played out from the low so well, even if I were to take it like this, right, like a 0.8% stop loss, that's a little bit hefty in my opinion. But if I'm going to target the value area low or the daily MPOCs here, my stop loss probably wouldn't be up here if I take a local entry. It'd probably be up above a local high. But it would be a small loss, right? Even if I had to get my stop loss above the high here, right, I would just lower my position size to account for the extra stop loss, right? So it'd be small loss, long still continue to pay me out, even though I don't have a ton left. Even though I don't have a ton left in that position, it still will continue to pay me out there. But at the end of the day, guys, you got the 10-hour bear div looking to potentially print. It's not printing just yet, but you can see your VWAP coming down there looking for the red dot. You have your higher highs on price action. You have your lower highs on your momentum waves. I mean, it's there. 10-hour bear divs. You got the 4-hour bear div printing. Is the 15-minute money flow coming out? I think if you continue down here, I think that 15-minute money flow crossover into the red after this green dot prints, right? That could be the start of the bigger push down. 4-hour, 15-minute market cipher B strategy for a potential lower high and lower low. If not, I would like more if we scam up to 118K to the POC. But, yeah, we'll have to see. I might enter a short here. Not here, but I may look for a short entry here a little bit earlier. May even just scale in. Again, not here. I'm maybe here. But scale in, right? And then on the retracements, look to add. So, yeah, I'll have to see. I'm going to keep an eye on the charts here as the price action develops. Maybe we get the Asian session. Did Asia session start? Asia session start? So, yeah, we'll see if we can get some volatility. And just be careful, right? Tapped into the golden pocket. Technically, we have pushed into the level. We have the high time frame bear divs. We have the low time frame bear divs. So just be careful. If we scam up there, I would prefer that. But definitely have some signs on the chart that we can cool off, especially with that 15-minute money flow crossing into the red. And you guys have all the key levels to the downside that I'm looking at if we get the pullback. If you miss those levels, scrub back to the beginning of the stream and make sure you write them down and get them on your chart in case we do get the pullback. You know where you should be looking for bounces and where you should be looking for massive, massive dumps on Bitcoin. But with all that being said, let's see. Shout out to Wick589 said, Frankie, Billy Mays candles. Always saying, but wait. There's more, even when he's stopping. Shout out to Wick589. But wait! I'm just kidding. There's no more. With all that being said, guys, that's all the time I got for tonight's live stream. Thank you all for tuning in and hanging around till the end of the stream. Dave Digital says short stream. Hashtag short stream, guys. And short is, we literally went over time today, guys. I will say there's going to be a day here, guys, where I don't know how I'm going to do it, but I'm going to have to figure out a way to manage the time on these streams. I genuinely enjoy them. And I just can't get off here sometimes. But with all that being said, thank you for being here, guys. I appreciate every single one of you. Smash the like button on your way out. And, yeah, pray for Bitcoin here. We'll see if we can get that push in 118K. But if not, those bear divs might drag us down. So scrub back to the beginning of the stream and get those support levels. I'll see you guys next time. That's all I got. Hasta pasta. Frankie Candles out. Bing bong!
Coach, what's next for me, Joe? I'm gonna get that second bell. Where the is it? They should have had them 2 bells ready. Space shine for me.
Yeah. Head up in the clouds, dog, they saying I look stressed. I've been feeling down, pray to God that I'm up next. Remember when she blew me off, that's why I can't text. Now she call me petty, but I swear I can't forget. This ain't a test. Now they saying that I ball like Jerry West. Coming back for what is mine, can't take no less. I said go and take a shot, so I need your best. And stop the threats, don't know what is in me. I don't got time, I'm not giving it energy. Too many people around me, I'm finicky. I do not mess with you, dog, you're not kidding me. You don't got way too close. I've been up at the top now, so they all wait for the landslide. I seen too many people that switched up, whose man's high. Through it all, I stay the same, I swear to God, I can't lie. Been down so damn low that I came up for my life. They talk way too much on the internet, it's not real life. I swear my fam waiting, I can't lose, and I'm still right. Still right, I swear that I'm working them up till like midnight. It's real life, I got a time and I'm coming to get mine. In time, I cannot lose and I'm coming right inside. I'm in my, yeah.
Shout out to Captain Kirk. Jesse said she's been here the whole time. Shout out to Captain Kirk. I did not see you in here. Shout out to Captain Kirk. Welcome in, CandleMafia Mama. And Vegas Claw says, Frankie, can you get the blueberry costume for the belly? Shout out to Vegas Claw, little blueberry belly. I actually have a couple Halloween costume ideas here for the stream. Blueberry's a good one. But I have one. I'm not going to expose it. But I got a really good one. You have to wait and see. But with all that being said, guys, I'll see you tomorrow. Same place, same time. Have a great night. Go touch some grass. That's all I got. Hasta pasta. Frank Candles out. Bing bong. Come on, Stream Deck. You can do it. You can. All right.
Here we go, at the top of the class on a roll, and it's time to run it up, yeah you know. Maxed out, put the pedal to the floor, ayy. On a roll, here we go. Yeah, we winning by a landslide. Never see me coming on my landmine. Yeah, I ain't taking orders in command like. Yeah, you about to see me on demand like. You know on demand. If you ain't know, you about to understand. Yeah, I got the team by my side, right hand. Yeah, take it to a string, you ain't seen it like that. Yeah, and it's the dream, and we coming for the bag. Yeah, and we ain't ever going back now. Future expedited, now we on the fast track now. They won't lend a hand, now they see us on the map now. It's time to act out. Here we go, at the top of the class on a roll, and it's time to run it up, yeah you know. Maxed out, put the pedal to the floor, ayy. On a roll, here we go, yeah. At the top of the class on a roll, ayy. And it's time to run it up, yeah you know, yeah. Maxed out, put the pedal to the floor, yeah. On a roll, here we go, here we go. Here we go, at the top of the class on a roll, and it's time to run it up, yeah you know. Maxed out, put the pedal to the floor, ayy. On a roll, here we go, yeah. At the top of the class on a roll, ayy. And it's time to run it up, yeah you know, yeah. Maxed out, put the pedal to the floor.